Exciting times. Long live the King Brown.
Oh, long live the king indeed. Long live the king indeed. We're gonna get into that. But first, we got a very special guest, people. We got a very special
Oh, hell
guest.
yeah.
We've got, in my opinion, the first Infinity Stone. That's the way I'm going to describe this guy.
Yes.
I first met our guest today in interesting circumstances. We're going to get into that as well. But first, I think we should just get him on. We've got the one, the only Nick Daniel, the fitness rebel himself, OG.
Here he is.
Here he is.
What's up, Pete?
Oreo, how we doing?
I am very good, thanks. I am all good.
Nice, man. Nice. It's great to have you on.
I'm
Yeah.
happy. I'm happy here, sitting in the middle of you two.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's all good.
I know. It resembles something. I can't quite figure out what it is, but it's
Yeah, I don't
whatever
know.
it is. Whatever it is basically is representative of this podcast, which is a tasty treat. Today is going to be a tasty treat.
And it's really good to dip.
Yeah.
Really good to dip.
Exactly. Right, Nick, really appreciate you doing this, man. Yeah, really appreciate having you on.
No issue, bro.
We met a few years ago. I think in summer of 2017. We went on a course, and we had a couple of interactions since then as well. And turned out that you knew the big man Umar. And then when we started the podcast, you're like, "Oh, how the hell did you guys know each other?" And so that was an interesting little bit. Like, "Oh yeah, this is how like the world can get smaller, right?"
Oh mate, the world gets in our industry. The world gets very small when you start to care and give a fuck. Because what happens is people go on courses and you just kind of like end up like this, and it's like the people at the top go on all the same courses and they're doing all the same things. So you just end up in this very small world. So yeah, it wasn't a shock. Well, it was a bit of a shock because I saw you two rolling around the floor of each other, giving each other little hugs and cuddles. I think they called it jiu-jitsu or something, but it just basically was like, brown bear was just giving you some love.
Just pajama fighting. That's what we were doing, man.
Yeah, basically.
Exactly. Pajama fighting, and then we decided to get rid of the pajamas.
That's it.
That's another podcast. I think that's another podcast completely.
Exactly. Like people who don't know jiu-jitsu who are listening, they're like, "We don't want to get involved. I don't think we're interested in that." It's like, hey, you have no idea. But
it's even worse when you do no-gi. Is even worse. Like no-gi jiu-jitsu, especially when you're doing it basically topless. Because when I was doing it when I was doing it in Thailand, and I remember just being you got a pair of shorts on, and you're just rolling around the floor, sweating on each other, just slipping in, just hugging, and you're like face to face on top of each other, legs wrapped around each other in 100-degree heat. You can't really.
It sounds like a great time. I don't know what you're talking about.
exactly.
It's like, what the hell are we doing? Like when you actually say it like that, it's like, huh? What?
Yeah. Exactly. It is what it is. You got to experience it to understand it.
Too right, man. Too right. Taking us back to our like primeval roots of just mad and mad, having it out, having a great time at the same time.
Exactly. Walking away, shaking hands, and being like, "Yeah, that was." We sweated. We choked each other out. We broke each other's limbs, but we're good. We're good.
Shared some bodily fluids. And it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, exactly. Nick,
Nice.
Nick, I thought like you're an industry vet now, right? So
20 years.
20 years.
Damn.
Man.
Yeah, 20 years. Man.
So that means it's going to be a pretty loaded question when I ask you. Tell us how you got to the point that you've got to now, because you've got a very interesting path, and also, Umar is involved in that at some point. Just wondering, how does it all fit together? Where did it start? Why did it start? And how you know?
Okay, so basically, I've pretty much done everything in the industry. So I actually never planned to go into it. The plan was I was either going to be a professional rugby player or a fashion designer. It was one of the two. So
we can see that from that top.
What can I say? So I basically chose rugby because I had to choose between art, stroke fashion, and sport and rugby.
So fucking glad you chose rugby, mate.
Yeah.
Just the influence you've had on me in my career. I'm so glad you didn't just end up cutting up fabric for a living. Nice one, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I tell you what, my plans for the future actually include that, but that's something completely different. I want to bring my fashion thing back in. But anyway, so
Yeah, boy.
I had to choose between that and rugby, and I chose the rugby. So I played kind of pro rugby. But I played for England. Then I played pro rugby for Gloucester seconds and London Broadco seconds and everything. But that was when I was 21. I was trying to go, and that was when, this is how old I was. It was literally back when there was only like 12 professional teams. Like, they weren't even paying that much. And they were getting all of the players from New Zealand, Australia. It was the first year they could take overseas players as well. So we were talking ages ago. So there was too much competition. Technically, I just wasn't good enough to get the contract that I needed when I was 21. So I was like, oh shit, what do I do now? The guy at the gym I went to in my hometown was like, look, I'll just come and work for us. You're always in here anyway. You get on with everyone. We'll pay for your fitness instructor course and all your qualifications, and then see how you go. So I did it, started being a fitness instructor, and then I done all the spinning, the body pump. I actually, I think I was at body pump 1. I think I actually started. I definitely started when it was body pump 6 or something. So I can remember I was in it for a while, and I got to I can actually definitely did number 10. But I was in there, done a few before that. So I probably went in, I was pretty much at the beginning of the body pump as well. I remember I had the tight body pump shorts, the vest, the bandana. I was loving it.
Love it.
Body pump Rambo.
Don't forget, this was late 90s. This is like late 90s, early 20s. So
change that name right now, man. Just Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda Oreo. That's what you need to be right there, man.
But I actually did them as well. And I actually was the rugby instructor as well.
Wow.
But the thing is, what people don't realize is people laugh and joke about that shit. But the thing is, like I always say, I had done, one of the reasons why I think I am good at what I do is because I was a fitness instructor first. I learned how to talk to everyone. I learned how to talk to the 16-year-old rugby boy, to the 60-year-old CEO of a company, to the female, to male, to the old, to the young, to the rich, to the poor. I spoke to everyone. So I learned how to communicate at an early stage. I was good at communicating anyway, but this took it to the next level. It taught me how to just walk the floor, how just to talk to people. It taught me how to coach. It taught me how to talk to people. It taught me how to pick people up. Oh, not like that. But
And like that.
it did help. I was young. I don't know if I think it's really unprofessional, but I was like, 20 years old on a gym floor. But anyway, so I've done it. I started doing that, but I think that is a massive point in becoming a great coach, is to be able to go through the whole genre. So I just started doing that. And then, like most back in those days, you couldn't really just become a personal trainer, and personal training wasn't really a career. Like if you said someone 20 years ago you're a personal trainer, you kind of laughed at. It wasn't really a thing. So then I done all that. Then I kind of got a job up in London. I actually went to London now when I hit about 24, I think it was. Holmes Place. I became the youngest gym manager in Holmes Place, and then I started helping out their academy to hire and write the content to learn education stuff. And then Virgin took over, and it was at this point when I decided it was either become the youngest gym manager in a gym which had like I think 6,000 members and like 50 trainers at Barbican. I decided it was then to either go traveling, screw everything, have some fun at 27 years old, or settle down, get the 9 till 5 gym manager job, and just kind of like go down the white picket fence and all that kind of stuff, which personally I find ain't for me. So I've been traveling, and then that's where I did all the jiu-jitsu. I went kite surfing around the world, jiu-jitsu, all that kind of stuff, and then. And then I met my wife, came back, and was like, right, what do I do now? So I got a job as a gym manager again, but that wasn't what I wanted to do. I'd done my traveling now. I was like, right, I've got to take my shit seriously now. And then I saw an advert for UP. This is when UP literally only been going for about a year. I'd gone and done a biosig course, and I saw about, this is when, back then, there was about 5 UP guys at the back of the class, and they were just huge. They were hench, they were those fucking massive monsters to sit at the back. I was like, damn, I just want to be that. And I was started looking into them. I was like, okay, who's that? And luckily, the gym I was working at was a sporter in Islington, and the first UP was in Old Street. And I looked them up, and I was like, who the hell are these guys? I looked them up, and they were advertising for a part-time morning PT. So I was like, screw it, I'm going to do this. And again, this holds a lot about, as I was saying, about become a good PT or successful in life. The next part I'm going to say is very important, is I then didn't get, I emailed once, no reply, twice, no reply, 3 times, no fucking reply. I thought, no, I'm going to keep nagging them. Kept saying, look, you fucking want to meet me. I actually was quite hard. So look, you know, I don't know what you're not seeing on my CV, but I promise you, you want to, meet me. So eventually I hustled myself in. That was like about 5 or 6 emails. I just kept sending them. And so for one, I do believe, and if you want something, don't fucking give up. You find a different way of getting in there. So I got in, and I turned up in a suit trousers, a shirt, looking smart. Now, I can tell every trainer out there, when I used to interview them, it used to piss me off when they turned up in tracksuit bottoms and a hoodie.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a personal trainer, if you're a fucking dustman, if you're going for a job interview, you turn up respectful to the person who you're trying to interview for. You show up on time. You show up looking respectful and looking decent. I don't care what job you're going for. And so I turned up looking completely out of place, walking to a gym in suit trousers and a shirt and a tie. I actually did I wear a tie? I can't remember, but I was smart. Then, and that just kind of like, and then I walked in with Nick. Nick was Nick was quite a guy back then. But anyway, I won't go into that story. But I got the job, and I started working my morning shift at UP. I got up early. I done my 6 till 9 at UP. Then I went to my next job as a manager, and I basically worked 9, 10 till 6 or 8. Then by the time I got home, it was 10, 11, and I had to be up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock to then go to UP again. But at this stage, I was also trying to prove myself. So I used to get up at like 4 or whatever it was, so I can go to the gym at 5:30 and train with the monsters in there, doing my strength, training at like 5:30, 6 before I started my first client at 6, half 6. Then I'd go off to my next job. I was doing that for like 6 months. Because I wanted to prove myself. And then when the UP started getting busier, I was like, look, can you take me on full time? Because it is kind of killing me doing 2 jobs. And I think I want to come here full time. And now like, look, we can't guarantee the work. So we can't guarantee this for you, but we are getting busier. But I wanted it so badly that I was like, look, no, I'll make it work. Get referrals, whatever. So I quit my other job and started working full time at UP, and I was basically like, I was full there virtually straight away. So yeah, I wanted it so bad because at that point they were like the dons to work for. So I would do anything I could have done to do that. So I was there for about 4 or 5 years. Working my way up the ladder, basically proving myself. And then it got to a point where we started doing these hypertrophy training days. So basically we started doing them, things changed, and then I started running them. I done one in Marbella, a whole 4 days out in Marbella. And after that, Nick was like, okay, look, you got to do way more of these. So I started organizing advertise. Like I've done all the marketing, advertising, writing the programs. I was running basically the UP training days, which became, without sounding quite big-headed, I'd like to think they became quite fucking infamous. People in the industry knew them. People in the industry knew what I was doing with those days, because I'd done 1 day training days, which was training 3 times in 1 day with seminars in between. And then I'd done ones in Marbella, which we trained 8 times in 3 days. So it was my job to coordinate all of this for a few years, which was pretty intense, because it wasn't just when you design something like this. I had, say, 25, 30 trainees. Then I had, say, 10 trainers. So, and I had to write a program. But then what happened was I had to keep an eye on all the trainees. I had to keep an eye on all the trainers. So then I was coaching the trainers and helping the trainers coach the trainees, but also keeping an eye on the trainees and coaching them, jumping in and out when I needed to. I had to pick the people that needed to be pushed, the people who needed not to be pushed so much. I had to fix injuries. As the people were training, it'll be like, oh, my knee started to hurt. So I had to, on the fly, just start like regressing, progressing, and just basically on the fly, just sorting out 30 people. Which was pretty intense. And then, as you said, that leads into how I met Umar, because the big man came on one of those leg days.
I know there's a story here because JP Cronin, he's like, I want to hear this story. And Umar's like, there's not just one, but there's two.
Oh, is there? What stories are these?
There's two stories about my induction process to UP, right? There was the actual one where I showed up on my first day, March 1st, 2017. And then there's the one where I came to your leg day, which was, I think it was January 10th or January 16th. The same. No. It was January or it was in December. Yeah. One of the two. And I think the best, what's coming to my mind in terms of describing this to people who have never been is like, you know how you have nowadays we have new age cars, right? We have like electric powered cars, we have Teslas, and we have everything kind of like hybrid powered and whatnot. Nick D's leg day was like a coal powered V8, just like revving into the darkness, just horrible and grimy, and there's soot everywhere, and everyone's crying, and some people are bleeding, and there's a guy over there just rocking back and forth. But that's what it was about. It was about training, and this is the only thing, from my perspective, that pulled me toward UP, which was I love training. Put a full stop at the end of that. I don't want to talk about anything else. Where can I go and work, which is just about the training? I just want to know about that. I didn't know what carbs, fats, or proteins were. I didn't know why they were important. I didn't give a fuck. But what I knew was that I just want to go somewhere that has this kind of training. And I remember watching Thor's leg day video, and I think you were in that. I think there was you were in that video somewhere. And it was, and then I'd seen videos of you training as well, and I thought, okay, I've got to go along to one of these, and lo and behold, did not disappoint, because I remember showing up in the morning, and I hadn't back squatted, or I hadn't squatted for, I'd say, a couple months before. I've done a load of front squat, but I hadn't done any back squat. And on the day, I remember you and Reed like screaming in my ears while I've got 230 kilos on my back, having not back squatted in ages, and I'm doing it for sets of 5. That was our first workout of the day. Our second workout of the day.
Brutal.
As soon as we started, I'm just like, I'm toast right now. I've not trained this hard in a long time, but that's the first set of the second workout. We've got another workout to do yet, mate. I'm literally nodding off in between, and it was epic. It was so good. To this day, I wore a t-shirt that I really liked, and I don't know where the fuck it is, because I lost it. I lost other shit on the way, because I was so blank when I left that place. I was so hyped up on adrenaline and so absolutely drained from the workout. I was like, don't care. I don't care. I remember coming home, not being able to sit on the toilet for about 3 days without having to grab hold of the handrail like I was 83 years old. Not being able to train legs for a week because I was just like mentally fried. That was just, it was an experience. Put it that way. It was a training experience, which I think, as per like what you wanted to put out there, you definitely hit the nail on the head, Nick. It was brilliant.
Cheers, bro. But you know what? That's the thing. Like, I do believe the one thing people just lack is just that passion and love for training and how the intensity of how far I can actually go. Because I got lost up into it a little bit, but it's just into the fact of you start trying to break everything down too much. You start trying to get too scientific. I do believe 100%, especially at the moment, because on Instagram, everyone's trying to prove that they're intelligent and everyone's trying to prove that they're awesome. And they're trying to prove that they're better than the next coach and why you should train with them. And for some reason, every single coach now is trying to be an educator. They've been in the industry for fucking 1 year, done a couple of courses, and then now they want to educate. And so they're putting all this content out, but it's just like, but you've forgotten the main emphasis of fucking training and training hard. Like, and not just because you're on Instagram, not just because you want to compete, which is all, okay, whatever. But because you just got this deep down burning desire in your fucking soul to go and bury yourself in a set of squats or the hacks, and just the satisfaction that you get from that. And I just think a lot of people just don't know how far they can go. And I think for my whole entire life, my whole thing has been, if you want something, fucking do it. Don't complain, don't bitch and moan. You got to put your heart and soul into it. But especially when it comes to training, people don't know how far they can actually go.
Yeah, man.
And that's what, if I ever could teach anything on those training camps, my whole point of them, it was to fuck you up, but intelligently. But that was because it wasn't for the sake of fucking you up. It was for the sake of saying, you've come to me and said that you can only do 200 kilo squat. That's your PB. You've just done 230. Yeah, I've tweaked a few bits of your technique, but it's not just that. It's because you've got a room of 30 people. I've called you out in front of 30 people. I'm screaming in your ear. Like, the technique might have added an extra 10 kilos, maybe even 15 kilos. But I tell you what, 50 to 75% of the extra weight that everyone, I can tell you right now, virtually every single person came to me after those camps saying I hit a PB on something. And yes, as I said, sometimes it's technique, but majority of the time it's just because we fucking made you. We put you in a situation where you're not in a commercial fitness first, or not even fitness first, even worse, some commercial gym where you get told off for making noise or something, and there's old, no offense to anyone for old, but old people walking around. It doesn't motivate you to bury yourself. But then if you're in a room of 30 jack trainers with 10, 15 jack trainers shouting at your ear, guess what? You're gonna be fucking motivated.
Hell yeah.
So that's the environment that I wanted to create. Cool. I learned that from Nick. That's what Nick wanted to create in UP. When he first started UP, that was the environment he wanted to create. And I created that in those days and in those camps. Because I think people aren't reaching their potentials just purely because they haven't got a fucking clue what their potential is, because they really don't know how far they can go.
Yeah, man.
Totally.
And that's not just in training, that's in life.
Yeah. I remember finishing off the 2 workouts, and then the third was a circuit, right? It was just a continuous movement, and being totally flat out. I think one of the stations was a sled push. I remember JP coming up to me in my ear and just going, "Is that it? Is that all you got?" And I just thought, "Fuck you, man. This is I'm gonna find a gear from somewhere, and I'm getting this done." And it was so good because, like you said, you left that day feeling like I've got so much more. There's so much more to give in this environment. And that's why I was so excited to actually come and work alongside you guys. Obviously got to work alongside yourself, alongside JP as well, Simon. He's been on the podcast as well, and just the environment that it created. It was true. It was true to that, finding potential, like G talked about earlier, and just bringing it out every single time you got to train. You got to train. I like how Jordan talks about that kind of stuff. It's like it's a privilege to train, but really take yourself to that place because no one's going to do it for you. You've got to, in this sense, you are kind of taking us there, but you've got to actually do the work, and that's a beautiful thing, man.
You're just drawing out people.
You just, and it's just also people. I said the thing is, people just don't realize their potential. And I know that sounds so cliched or whatever, but it's so true. Like when I was younger, I was not gifted. I was more, to do what I did, I had some kind of gifts. But to get as far as I did, it was a lot more work than it was being gifted. And that's when I learned hard work because I wanted to be fast. I can remember my thing was being fast on the pitch. That's why I played for England, and I could attack. And when I was at training athletics, I was in a group at Crystal Palace, basically the only white boy. And I was like the white boy at the back of the pack, just chasing everyone because they were just genetic gifts. I had some guy called Chris Lambert who went to the Olympics on the 200 meters. Michael was the European champion 400 meters. Philodoru, who's the triple jumper. Philip Aduku, who was the hammer. Literally, these are all champions. I was training with European world champions at this point. So I was just this skinny white kid at the back chasing them. And they used to just like finish their run. I'd just be like throwing up in between each run because I'd be putting so much effort in. I used to just do a couple of sprints, throw up, carry on, throw up, carry on. And I just would not go. And when they went in, I'll be doing the extra sprints because I knew these guys were gifted. They worked hard, but I thought the only way that I can compete with these guys, the only way I'm going to keep up with these guys is by training harder, is effort. That's the only way. I've only got one fucking choice, and that was that. And then when it came to rugby, I was small. I wasn't genetically gifted in strength or anything. So after training, fitness and agility was my thing. So I would stay late. Everyone would go in. I would be outside training more. I would do more. And then when it comes to my defense was shit. So I used to ask the biggest player, or like one of the toughest players to tackle after, to run at me. Even when I'm knackered, I'm in pain, I'll just say, run straight at me. I've got to tackle. I've got to learn how to do this shit. And I'll just be in agony, just him pounding me, just running into me non-stop. I just get out, it's like 10, 15 minutes just getting up until he would just be like, dude, I'm not doing this to you anymore. I was like, come on. I was like that guy, I was like Monty Python, he got no legs. Come on, I'll take you. He's like, dude, come on now. I'm not going to hit you out. I'm not going to smash you up again. I'm like, come on. So yeah, I just had this, I've just always known that there's more, that you gotta put the effort in if you want something. And that's just kind of like where my work ethic came from. Was I wanted shit. I knew I wasn't the most gifted, so I had to put the effort in. And I think that's where it all stemmed from. And that's what I'm like with other people. It's like, look, if you are gifted and you train and you work fucking hard, Jesus Christ, you'll be immense. If you're not gifted and you still want something, guess what? It's going to be tough, but fuck it. It'll just take longer and it's just harder. Deal with it, suck it up, buttercup. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. It's like, oh, it's going to be hard for me, or it's going to take too long, so I jump on drugs, or I do this, or I do that. And it's just like, take your time with shit. If you haven't got the genetics, either don't do it, do something else, which you've got genetics for, or if you haven't got the genetics, just accept you ain't going to be that great, but you could be good. And I think that's just sometimes you just got to take it, but then again, that's what if you're competing with yourself or others, because if you accept, you know what, I'm not going to be a pro bodybuilder, I'm not going to be amazing, but I know that I can be better than I am today. It's all about progression, it's all about making myself better and learning, then you'll move forward.
100%. At the end of the day, like, what's the alternative, right?
Exactly. Like I wasn't, like when I was bodybuilding, I was doing it, I say for me, there was an external factor into it. But when I say it was for me, it was a sake of, I knew I was never going to win a bodybuilding show. I knew that was never going to happen. And it was quite funny because I knew people who had entered bodybuilding shows who didn't look like they should win, but they did win because there was only like 3 people in the show, which I hated. So I competed 3-4 times in bodybuilding, and guess what? I competed every time in the hardest one of the year, every time.
Yeah.
Don't know why. If I was ever gonna win, I wanted to win against the best lineup, and that was Stars of Tomorrow, I think it was called, in like November time, because after the British finals, whoever didn't win just went straight into that. So we're
Right.
talking basically the best show was basically that of the year. And I was just like, I just always do that one because if I ever did win or if I ever placed, which I never was, I never had a beautiful physique. To me, I did, but I mean, from a bodybuilding world perspective, so I just did the hardest one just to see if I
Yeah.
ever did match up. And cool, sweet.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, I didn't do it for a trophy. I did it because I fucking just loved it. I absolutely love training. I love the nutrition. I love the. It might sound cliched, but what it was is nothing in life. You can never guarantee that you'll get um, what's the word I'm looking for? The result back that you want, except for in training. And what I mean by that is you can work your ass off at work, but then someone could be mates with the boss, so they get the promotion, you don't. There could be sexism, so you're female, you don't get the money because you're female, or because it's a race thing, or whatever, or it's friends. You might not get something, you might not have the car you want, but one of your friends has because his dad's got more money. There's always little things where I kind of think to myself, like, you in life sucks. It's not always fair. But the one thing about training, like it's Henry Rollins said it, is like, friends come and go and everything else, but the still will always £100 will always be £100. And that's kind of the way I saw training was I've had bad times in my life. I had shit happen, friends and whatever. And training's the one thing where if you put the time and effort in, you're guaranteed, you're fucking guaranteed results. If you eat less than you're burning, if you eat less than you're putting out, you will lose fat. It's just it's science. If you go in a gym and you train your chest every single day, your chest would grow. Do you know what I mean? It's fact. You can't if you work hard in the gym, something will happen. Where in life, you could be the best husband, your wife could cheat on you. You could work your ass off at work, and someone goes above you because they're sleeping with the boss, or they know or their mates or something. Nothing's guaranteed, but in training, to me, it's the one true thing. The effort you put in is guaranteed to get something out of it.
Yeah,
And
man.
I know it might sound a bit cliched or whatever, but that's just the way I see training. It's the only thing guaranteed to give you the outcomes of
Yeah.
hard work.
Well, fully, man. Like what the philosophy of it as well is like that line from Henry Rollins is just it's always going to tell you the truth. So wherever you are in a given day, you're on that bar or under that bar or over it, whichever way it is, it's going to tell you the truth, right? It's like
Yeah.
you can lift this today or you cannot lift this today. And it's not going to lie to you about that. It's not going to mollycoddle you. It's going to, oh, it's okay. It's like, no, you're just going to have to put up with the fact that you have the capacity today or you don't. And whatever you've got, you work with that and you are still making progress.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about training, and that's what I love about it. And it's the way that you can manipulate anything. And I think that's what I kind of got into it because I always wanted to bodybuild, but I couldn't because of the sports I was doing. And I wasn't in the environment. Like the environment's everything. And this is another thing what viewers and listeners can take away from this is you have to put yourself in the environment that you want to become. So
Yeah.
like I wanted to be a bodybuilder, but way back when, like Orpington didn't have any bodybuilding gyms when I was growing up. I was playing rugby, and I wanted to play rugby for England, so bodybuilding wasn't on the spectrum. Even though I wanted to kind of that physique, it still wasn't the main point of my outcome. So then when I stopped playing rugby, I was going into kite surfing. And I started kite surfing. Now, again, bodybuilding, I was kind of bodybuilding, but not properly, as what I thought was bodybuilding. But it wasn't because I wasn't surrounded by bodybuilders. Now, I've always wanted these physiques because, like, you guys are younger than me, but I grew up in the 80s and 90s watching every superhero, everyone, the Jean-Claude Van Damme's, Arnold Schwarzenegger's, An action hero was an action hero. All the toys I played with, the cartoons I watched, Thundercats, jacked fucking cats. Then you had biker mice. You had biker mice from Mars. Jacked. Like when girls go, oh, but we had, girls go, we had Barbie. Fuck you. One doll. One. Every cartoon we watched, they were fucking jacked. G.I. Joe. It's delts. What the? They're like professional. It's like the G.I. Joe's delts insane. Then I say biker mice from Mars. Thundercats. I want to be fucking, you know, like Pantera.
He-Man,
Go and look at
He-Man,
Pantera.
Yeah, He-Man, exactly.
He-Man. But Pantera or whatever from Thingy. Abs everywhere. These are just the cartoons.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, exactly. Their biceps.
Just jacked turtles.
Triceps. Awesome. And then
Everything.
and then the girls are going, oh yeah, but we have a hard life because we've got a doll. One doll. And then
You know,
the thing is though, they've got one doll, Ken. And then what next to them? Fucking Ken, who's got a six-pack and a fucking house. He's got a house. He's got a fucking Malibu beach house, and he's got abs, and he's got long flowing blonde hair. So now you're saying you've got to compete with a fucking doll. We've got to compete with a guy who's got enough money to own a fucking Malibu beach house, and he's got fucking abs. What the fuck? And then I go and get a fucking pet turtle, and that's jacked as well. So I've got Ken, who's fucking perfect with a bank balance, and now my fucking pet mouse is fucking got bigger arms than me. But hey, we're not the ones with the issue. You've got a doll. Anyway.
That's some insight there, man. It's like you're talking about, what is it, toxic body images. It's like we've been surrounded by that since we were fucking children as well.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. That's such a good point. And to be honest, that's a legit point.
Mate, it pisses me off, and like I don't mind it. The thing is, I also think this bullshit about toxic masculinity is a part of fucking crap. I think the problem is there's not enough masculinity.
Yep.
You know, like, fuck me. Like, you know, it's talking about it's okay to run around crying and doing this and that. Yeah, we've got to have feelings and everything, but at the same time, you got to get shit done. And there's nothing wrong with being a man. And the thing is, people say toxic masculinity. It's like, what is that? So does that mean being a man, sticking by, when you got a kid, you stick by your wife. You're a good husband, to your wife. You're a good boyfriend. You're a good father. But then you got to have the traits. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a fucking man. And this is the thing which I get really wound up with. Is like, a man's not someone who you say something to and then you burst out in tears and then you go running off. Your wife says something and you go and divorce her. What the hell? Masculinity is being able to take shit. It's being tough. That's what we're made for. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting big muscles and being strong. It's what we are. And the funny is, what I think about the toxic masculinity is the problem is it's pushing men away from that, and it's pushing people to have low testosterone, and low testosterone is the thing that causes depression, and then what happens is all these people who you're telling, being a man's not about this and that, they're the ones who's depressed and not achieving shit in life.
Yep.
And it's
the cure to it all is get hold of a fucking barbell. And just do
basically,
just get strong. Like when did strength be a detriment to being weak? It's like being stronger is always better. Full stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
But it's like when people like nowadays they're going to do all the cold baths and the cold showers and the meditation and this and that to be stronger. You know what? It all helps. I've done some of it. I do some of it. But do you know what really makes you fucking strong? It's getting up every day at some point of the day, going to the gym, putting a bar on your back, and just going and just putting the fucking work in, and working hard under that weight. Because you know what? Yeah, you can jump into a bath, you can count to fucking 2 minutes and get out. But you know what? When you've got that bar on your back and you're at the bottom of that squat, there ain't nowhere out. You have to get up. You've got to stand up, no matter how fucking hard. No matter how much it hurts, no matter how shit your day's been, when you're at the bottom of that squat, or you're bottom of whatever, you've got a bench press, you've got bars on your chest, is going to crush you, you ain't got no option. You have to push that shit off your chest. And I think And that's what, again, like Umar said, that's what training gives you. It gives you that
Yeah.
respect, and it gives you that continuity. It gives you that commitment to something.
Yeah.
Because, jumping in that cold bath for 2 minutes, okay, well done. That's 2 minutes. But when you've had a shit day, you've had an argument, you've not had much sleep because your kids kept you up all night, you had an argument with your wife, and job's been shit all day. Guess what? It's hard to go to the gym. It's hard to switch your mind off and put that bar on your back. And it's one of those cliched things, but I tried meditation and everything else. And when I went through hard times, but the one thing what helped me is training, because to be honest, what people don't realize is I'm not a true yogi or meditation guy, but the way I see meditation is to you take yourself away from your daily day shit and get you out of your own mind. That's the way that I see meditation. It's to clear that shit out your mind and put your focus back into you. Now, what is the one way to clear your mind and put the focus back into you? Put a fucking 200k bar on your back. You can't think of shit. I ain't going to be thinking about the
Can't think of
argument I had with
nothing
my
else,
wife. I'm going to be thinking about shit. I've just put 200k on my back. I've got to do this shit.
Yep.
And then you go down, you start descending. You got to start thinking to yourself, am I going to do this or not? And if you decide you're going to do it, you're going down. You're thinking, right, I've got to push my knees out. I've got to keep my abs tight. I'm going to basically drive in this bar so hard into my upper back. I'm squeezing my lats. You're doing all these things. Now, when you meditate, what are you doing? You're sitting there. You're thinking, okay, I'm going to breathe. I'm going to move my ribs. How my legs feel? How does my body feel? Okay, I've got a bit of tension in my shoulders. I'm going to just relax that. Okay, that's, when you're going on that squat or something, you're doing the same shit. You're in there going, right, I'm going down. How does my back feel? Sweet. I feel good. This is going to feel good. I've got to keep tight. I've got to keep my leg. And then when you drive up out of that, all your troubles go away, because then the adrenaline starts pumping in, and then the kind of endorphins start fucking hitting in. You walk out that gym, you spent an hour not thinking about your daily shit. You then released a bunch of fucking you've been body awareness for the whole session, because if you're doing bodybuilding properly, you're thinking about, okay, it's not just about how you're going down, but you're thinking that I've got to squeeze this, I've got to squeeze that, I'm keeping this tight, I'm giving that tight. You're learning about every inch of your body. You're feeling every inch of your body. And then, so you've got the get your daily shit out of your mind. You've then got the body awareness for an hour of the day. Then you've got the endorphins pumping through you, and you leave on a high because you just achieved something. To me, when I needed shit, it was the training, which I didn't realize, because that was my issue. When I went through problems, it was mental and it was physical. And my main problem was I couldn't use my physical way of getting out of my physical pain. And that was my issue.
Right.
So it was a vicious circle going around, which was fucking me up. And I know for a fact that whenever I need my alone time and I want to be somewhere, training was always that. That's why people call it therapy as such. And people go try meditation, but you know what? You can't say it's not for everyone. And to me, that training is that meditation.
Yeah.
It's no different to doing an hour of yoga. Do you know what I mean? So that's to me, and that's through 40 years, and that's through trying things and doing everything. And the way that I'm going back into is, I need that training, that gym, that environment. And then that kind of, I know we've diverted off, that everything goes back into that environment. I've got to put myself back, getting myself back in the shape I am now, which is not where I want to be anywhere near, but I'm kind of injury free now. My niggles, and I can start pushing my body. I've done that in a commercial gym, but now I want the next step. I now have to, instead of going for a 5-10 minute walk down the road, I've now got to go for a half an hour drive to my local bodybuilding gym.
Yeah.
Because now I need to put myself in an environment which is going to fucking drive me. Because if I don't go to this, if I don't change my environment I'm in now, I know I can guarantee you I will not have the physique I want or the fitness, health and conditioning that I want by my 40th in January. So I now have to now change my where I train and change my environment now. And I think too many people aren't willing to change their environment. I don't know where we're in so many tangents then. I just don't know where. I don't know
So,
where
do
the
you
fuck
know,
we're going anymore.
Doesn't matter.
no,
Man.
man, it makes total sense though. The way you're describing meditation on the kind of the self-awareness spectrum, right? So you sit down, you meditate, you feel the floor, you feel your feet, you feel your breath. But then when you enter the gym, you're also doing something while being aware. And you can start off at a really remedial place of exercise, right? You can start off with a body weight movement. You can start off with just basic working through all the patterns of the body. But it's almost like how you scale your awareness, because having a 100 kilo squat and having a 200 kilo squat, there is a whole chasm in between of awareness that you've got to generate across your entire body to have to manage this new load. It's almost like, how do you progress meditation? Well, you just get heavier with the barbell. You literally just get more and more loaded with the movement you're doing, and you manipulate tempo and you manipulate all of the awareness factors. And I feel like that's such a great way, what you've just described there, of steadily over time overloading your awareness, overloading your strength, overloading how you think about your body. And then, like you said, when you come out of the gym, you carry that with you in your life. You carry that with you in how you talk to people, in the fact that you've just leveled up as a human being. So when you go into a conversation, now you're a better person for it. You know what I mean? That goes across the entire board. So yeah, man, I'm totally with you.
This is what I say this all the time. Like, I'm not any pro in the mind or anything, but I've been through some shit times. Me and my wife, and not me and my wife, but like me and my wife in general, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Together.
Yeah, we've been through shit together. That's the way. So I know, kind of like, I always say that it sounds like me and my wife went through a bad patch, and so I always have to clarify. No, we went through it together. So we went through shit together as a couple, and I went through panic attacks and all that kind of shit, which no one knows about. And I can tell you right now what kind of fixed me, and what I see. If anyone out there is dealing with things, I can tell you right now, there's a couple of things. Might not fix it, but they'll make you fucking better. I always say it is action breeds confidence. There's two things. There's anxiety and your confidence, okay? So let's go anxiety first. Anxiety comes down to normally when you're fucking not prepared. Okay? Normally, if you're an anxious person, it's normally because you're running around, you got your head up your ass, and you don't know what you got. You got lots of stuff to do, and it seems like you never get anything done. And then you're always thinking about it. You're always anxious about it. Or you got the meeting the next day. You got to do this. Normally, at the end of the day, nerves and everything else, but I'm talking proper anxiety. That will come from when you don't feel prepared. You're not prepared. You don't feel prepared all the time. You feel like you're just running around. So actually sitting down and getting stuff sorted out, like to-do lists, and actually getting shit done, actually then start to take away that anxiety. And it's one of those things, like, this actually breeds confidence. If you don't like your job, do you know what? You've got to find another job. If you don't like your partner, you've got to find another partner. It's hard. But do you know what? You're sitting there saying you're anxious or you're depressed, while you're saying to me also you don't like your husband or your wife.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
But until you change that situation, nothing's gonna happen. You're always gonna be anxious. Yeah. And then you start meditating and doing all this other stuff. And it's like, well, that ain't gonna fucking help, because the situation has not changed. You gotta work out what the situation is, and then you gotta figure that one out. If it's your job, if it's your partner, if it's something else in life, whatever it is, deal with it. Take action on what is causing you that pain. And once you've done that, you'll see that a lot of other shit falls into place. It's hard. It is fucking hard. But that's why there's a lot of people running out there in that kind of situation. But on the flip side, the action breeds confidence is like, the more action you take all the time, the more things you do towards your goal or being better or something, the more action you take, the more confident you get. You know, as a trainer, as a coach, do you know what? The more you study, the more you coach people, like, the more you train people. The reason I'm confident in what I do, because I've done over 40,000 hours of personal training. on the gym floor.
Savage.
I know I'm fucking good because I've done the work, but I wasn't. And even now, I get nervous doing certain things. When I started doing therapy, every now and then when I started doing the therapy side, I was freaking out because I wasn't confident because I was stepping into a world where I've been Johnny Big Balls over here. Now I'm like no one over here. And then the more I started studying, the more people I started treating, and the more people I started helping. Guess what? I get confidence, and now I'm
So this
confident
is
in that
you.
realm.
This is you jumping into you training to be an osteopath now, right?
Yeah. Which when I first started that, I was like, oh shit, and I was like listening to these people, and I was like, oh my god, and I was like, you're osteopaths, I can't argue with you. But now I've now got the confidence actually saying I'm quite confident saying that's bullshit. That's a load of crap because I've now learned that actually I'm confident to be able to say that in my abilities and in their abilities. I might not be qualified yet. It might only be my third year, but I still don't agree with that. You might be a tutor, but I've got the confidence throughout my years. But it's all the action I've taken throughout that time. And now I'm doing a degree, my first ever degree at like nearly 40 years old. But it's the action which is building that confidence. I took myself out of certain situations which was giving me the anxiety attacks. I had to realize this is what's causing me these issues, so I have to get myself out of this situation, and I did that. And then it was like, right, I don't feel very confident at the moment. Why don't I feel confident? Because I'm not actually taking action in these situations. But then this is going down another deeper route. To me as well, the other reason why I was mentally fucked was because Tony Robbins once said this, and it makes complete sense to me, is when people are, say, unhappy, depressed, or whatever, it's because, a massive reason is going to be you're not living to your values.
Yeah.
And when you don't
100%.
live towards your values, you're not going to be happy. You're going to be miserable. And if you're somewhere, if you're in an environment, or if you're in a situation, in a job, or in a partnership which don't share your values, you are going to be fucking miserable. So to me, I always bang on about this. I've spoken about it in my podcast as well with other people, is if you can sit there and work out what your values are, then you sit there and go, am I living to those values? I guarantee 90% of people listening to this, or even 100% of people listening to this, there are parts of their life, they might be living to 75%, but living 100% to your values, you're probably not. And I can guarantee that if you actually work out what values you're not, where this section is, if you sort that out and you start living to your values, and again, that comes down to the partner you're with, the friends you're with, the environment you're in, the job you're in, whatever it is, it'll be not living in those values. And then that gives you the anxiety as well, because you're unhappy, you don't know why, then you're depressed, and then you're not kind of like, then because you haven't got, then you kind of haven't got the confidence, so you're not doing stuff, which then brings you down into this kind of like head up your ass, kind of like not sure where you're going, what direction you're going in, which brings the anxiety factor in. Do you know what I mean? It's all kind of like blended in.
Sounds like there's a lot of like
completely.
introspection with this, Nick. There's a time where you've got to just stop everything and just look at yourself in the mirror and be like, what am I doing? How am I living? Would you say that you've had to do that in your life?
Yeah, I changed. I do think I think it's you have to sometimes anyone who's truly happy with themselves out there normally are older, and they've gone through shit, and they've sat down and gone, who the fuck am I, and who am I doing this for, and why am I doing it? And then you've got to make hard decisions. And like I've cut out a lot of friends in my life because it just, like, when I was younger, I've had this in my life. I don't know what, something's in me, and I've been able to do it. When I was younger, I wanted to play rugby for England. My mates started doing, these are my best mates who I've grown up with, like my brothers basically, and they started doing drugs, partying, that, and I was like, look guys, I love you to bits, but if I want to achieve what I want to achieve, I can't hang out with you guys because you're doing that shit. I want to be training, I want to stay sober. And I kind of like pulled myself away because it wasn't the environment which was going to make me what I wanted to be. But it's something in me. I've always been self-aware. I don't know why. I've always been able to go. I think it's because this has always been something in me when I want this. If I want that, what do I have to do? And where am I now? Okay, I won't achieve this because of this reason. I have a weakness in here. So I've got to do this. And it's all self-respective. And you have to sit there and go, right, I am unfucking happy. And the thing is, you got to have the balls to do it as well, because it's scary. To sit there and pick yourself apart, you've got to go into sometimes places you don't want to go. But to be honest with you, it's scary because it's the decisions that are going to come out of it, which is scary. Like to say, oh, I've got to like push that person out of my life because every time I see them, I'm not a nice. I had one person who I didn't like the person I was when I spoke to them. I turned into something else. I didn't fucking like that, so I took them out of my life because I just didn't like what they turned me into. So and it's just things like this. You have to realize, you have to be very self-respective into who do I want to be. I think that's probably like you said, I'm not a mind person, so I don't know. That's why I'm jumping everywhere, because it's more about what I've been through and what my clients have been through in the past. So it's a very jumpy. So I think one of the things, one thing I do think is start with who you want to be.
Yeah.
Like I said this on one of my podcasts, which I love. I can't remember who I got it from. It might have been a Tony Robbins thing as well. I used to listen to a lot of his stuff. Some of it's a bit too whatever for me, but some of it's just obviously amazing. And he said it was right. What would you want people to say? Two things. What would you want people to say at your funeral?
Oh, got stuck on that one thing. He's leaving us in suspense.
He's back.
There he is. He's back.
So, where'd you get to?
We got the one thing, and then you left us in suspense for the second thing.
So it was, the first thing is, what do you want people to say about you at your funeral? So what would someone write? What would someone say as your eulogy? So what would your wife, what would your best mate say? What would people be discussing and saying about you at your funeral? That was number one. And number two was, what are people going to say when you turn your back and walk away? Or what are they going to say behind your back, basically? And they're the two things which I think about constantly. With every interaction that I have, I want to know that I've left it in a positive state. Not so much for me, but I've made a difference to that person. And I want to know, I've got a certain criteria of what I want people to say about me when I walk away. There's a certain things like when if Umar says, oh yeah, Nick, and then you go, oh shit, I know Nick. There's a certain criteria I would hope. There's 3 or 4 things I would want you guys to say about me. And if you didn't say those things about me, then I'm not being who I want to be. And that's kind of like my first thing when I sat down. It's like, right, who do I want to be? And then when you've got that who do you want to be, you can kind of work backwards. And it's kind of like, it's one of those things. Who do you want to be? What do you want people to say about you when you walk away, when you are dead? And that's not like a legacy thing. That's just literally them and then what they're going to say about you. He's a great father who's just like inspirational and he's as funny as hell. If that's what you want, are you funny as hell? Or do you get shy and you're funny with one-on-one, but in a group, you shy away? Well, if you want to be that guy, guess what? Go and do some acting lessons or what they call, you do them, don't you?
Take some improv. Take some improv, man. Improv.
Yeah. What's it when you... Yeah, improv, that's the one. See, obviously I'm very bad at improv. So it took me about 5 minutes to think of it. So I'm obviously very bad at this. But
you can develop, man. You can make it work.
You will, because then all of a sudden you get better in groups. Like, whatever do you want to be? What do you want to be? Exactly. So what do you want to be? And where are you now? And what do you have to do to fill that gap?
Yeah.
And it's just, I think, it's scary for people. For some reason, I don't know why. I've always been self-aware. I've always been happy to rip myself apart, and I've always been happy for feedback. As long as it's constructive feedback, I've always been up for it. I never shy away from people telling me what they don't like about me, as long as it's constructive. And if you can take that, exactly, it's how we grow. And that's one thing about me. I want to grow. There's things I want to achieve, and a person who I want to be. I need constant growth.
Fully.
And so that's kind of like what I would, don't know what brought us onto this, but yeah, so that kind of like eulogy, who do you want to be? Exactly. And then kind of like who are you now? And then how are you going to build that bridge and become that person that you want to be? 'Cause I can tell you right now, 99% of people aren't the person that they want to be. And that's causing the depression, the anxiety and unhappiness. Because if you're not who the fuck you are, like when I started a certain job, I was a certain way. That kind of got pushed out of me. Now, this job made me better in so many ways, but it also destroyed me in so many ways. And I'm still rebuilding slightly. I'm nearly there now. It's taking me a while to rebuild the parts which I lost. And to be the person that I want to be. And the thing is, this particular place, it kind of made me think the person I wanted to be wasn't a good person, or wasn't a success. No, it wasn't a good person. That's the wrong word. Wasn't a successful person.
Right.
So, and I'm coming out. I'm kind of like got my brain back into that because I know who I am. I'm proud of who I am, and I know where I want to go and who I want to be. So yeah, I think that whole. I think we're talking about values and that whole realizing and introspective, as Umar was saying, I think the whole knowing who you are, knowing where you want to go and where you are now, and just basically working out, because too many people are going on about, like, yeah, you got your careers and all this kind of stuff, but and maybe even relationship goals and all this kind of, but what about you? And when people work on you, I don't know, I don't know quite. I think a lot of people, when they're working on themselves, they're doing a meditation, they're doing all this kind of stuff, and they're writing their lists and that. But I really don't think people are sitting there going, who do I want to be?
Yeah, it's like all the to-do list, it doesn't include the values, right? You got to include the values.
You have to include the values, but just that kind of like, because the values don't always go, it's not exactly who you are. Like, but they do blend, they do interlink. And like one of my ones, which is very close to me, is my integrity. Like I wear my heart on my sleeve. I've got a tattoo of a heart on my sleeve for that cliched fucking reason. I'm just one big walking cliche. But yeah, it's just like I wear my heart on my sleeve, and there's no bullshitting with me, and I'm open. I'm an open book. I'll say it how it is, but I'll say it respectfully. I'm not going to hurt your feelings. But if I say something, it's just because it's on the table. It's true. But I will help you. And it's kind of like one of those things. The integrity is such a big thing about me. And that is one of my values. And that's one of the things that I want people to walk away and go, do you know what? Nick is just so, he's just so honest, and there's no bullshit with him. Like the amount of people that said about my podcast or when they meet me, and Umar knows me very well, there's no bullshit with me. I will tell you straight what I think, what you need. And I just, that's one of mine, and it interlinks of the person I want to be, but also my values.
Yes,
100%, man. That's one thing from knowing you, is that from the first interaction, and even from seeing you from a distance, I had an inkling as to what I thought I was going to get, and through the time I've known you, it's only just gotten more and more truer to who I think you actually are. And that's a testament to you doing the things you've just talked about, which is, when I met you, I feel like, without going into it too much, you weren't where you want to be. But I feel like now, knowing you, I've just seen a progression in you. I've seen that kind of that word transformation. I've seen you kind of move through and just kind of get truer to your source. And it's what you were saying earlier about what G was talking about as well, which was going through that list, but not doing the real shit. It's almost like going through your program, doing all the accessory work, but not actually doing the real main lifts. You know what I mean? It's like kind of that's the meat and potatoes. That's the stuff that's the hard shit. That's the stuff that's really going to call at you to be like, well, what are you doing now? You can't just be the most mobile guy in the gym without actually having to test that mobility at the end ranges and whatever. You know what I mean? Just try and take it back to training. It's really interesting. And seeing you from where I met you to where you are now, there's a massive change, dude. Massive change, and it's 1,000,000% for the better. I'm sure you'd say the same. And it's great, man. It's great to see because what the best thing is that the future. You chatted about it a little bit before with what you want to get into with your clothes design and stuff. And I can't wait to see where that goes because you know what I mean? It's going to be more and more expression. You know what I mean? Which means I said on the podcast last week, what is it? Expression is the opposite of depression, right?
That's it.
So the more you move further into that, I want to be this, I want to try that, I want to go here, I want to go there. It just means that you're just being more truthful to who you are. And like you said, you might not always get it right. That will always constantly change as you move through because you'll see things that you like, things you don't like. But that's all part of the journey, you know what I mean?
But that's the beauty, and that's the thing that the reason people are so scared of doing that is because, and like we'll talk about, like a lot of people say I'm too much or something, or as I was saying about masculinity, the toxic masculinity, people being a bit firmer and a bit. It's like, I didn't want to offend anyone earlier, but when I was saying about people just fucking saying something, going off crying and shit, it's like, oh, God's sake, it's like the only way we progress is by giving feedback. As long as it's not some twatty feedback and you're just busy, it's constructive and it's honest feedback, as in that shit happened. It's not just your opinion, because your opinion and fact is so fucking different. But people, like Umar was saying, people are just so kind of, I think society and social media and everything has just built this wall of people are scared of people's opinions. They're scared of saying their opinion because they're scared of not being liked. They're scared of not having fun. It's like all about followers. It's all about being liked. So everyone just starts being someone they're not, and not living their values and not living to who they are. And I just think that's what I was saying about the whole point of there's no BS with me, because I haven't got time for that shit. When you get older, and you guys will find this, and I think that's why they call grumpy old men. It's not being grumpy, it's just you ain't got the fucking time for your bullshit anymore.
Exactly. I'm already there. I'm already there.
Exactly.
I gotta get up the fucking station.
And like, I'm just like, I just haven't got time for that bullshit. Tell me what you want. Tell me how you fucking feel. I can help you. Don't lie to me. I can't help you if you lie to me. You can't help me if I lie to you. And we can't build a friendship if you ain't being fucking honest with me. And like, I don't want to know if I get a bad feeling from you ASAP. I don't want to know you. I don't care, because I'm not going to waste my time getting to know you. If I get an inkling you're lying to me or you're not being honest with me, I'm like, you know what? I ain't got time for this. I'm talking about like not clients. I'm talking about friendships now, or people I meet. I'm just like, I'm not down for this. And I know people, and I'm not talking about opening up, telling my life story straight away, and but just having that, you know what I mean. When you kind of you can tell when someone's not being themselves, and they're holding back, and that good vibe of like, just chatting. You can tell they're just being themselves and they're happy being themselves. And it's like, okay, do you know what? I can feel this. I can vibe this. As soon as you kind of get that kind of like, they're saying it because they have to say it, or they're thinking about what they're trying to say. It's like, if you go back into my podcasts, the first few, you can see that I was thinking about how to say something or what to say, because I didn't want to offend. I was thinking, oh, I want people to like me. And then it wasn't until my third or fourth podcast when I thought, wait a minute,
fuck it.
People are listening because they like me.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
If I'm effing and fucking blinding, like if you're on a PG show, if you guys are running a PG show, they're not gonna like me effing and blinding.
It's over. It's over, man. this ain't never gonna get aired.
I think the fact that we basically call me Oreo in the middle of you two is it kind of started the way it was going to go on. But I kind of realized quite quickly
we got gaslit.
So it was kind of like earlier on, I was like, well, wait a minute, no, people are actually listening to me because I want to hear what the fuck I've got to say. And actually, people like what I've got to say and the way that I say it. So, and the thing, I didn't want to build something in that kind of like, okay, I'm going to be this person, and then all of a sudden change into who I want to be when I've got 20,000 downloads, and all of a sudden people are like, who the fuck is this twat? Well, at least if they grow with me, at least they know what the fuck they're getting, and I'm actually getting people who want to listen to me. So it came from that kind of like, actually, no, fuck it, I'm going to be myself, because if I have, it's like when it's this followers thing on Instagram and that, if you have 10,000 followers, I know someone who's got 10 to 15,000 followers, making an absolute, I'm doing pretty well just on 5,000 followers, making good money at the moment, doing what I want to do. Because I've got good quality followers who are following me to hear what I've got to say. Yep. Whereas, and 5,000 is very minimal, it's tiny in this world. But then I've got friends who've got 20, 30,000 who, if they started talking a podcast or if they started actually trying to sell something, no one would, because they don't want to hear what they say. They just want to look at some pretty pictures. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like sometimes you got to start being yourself, because if you become happy with who you are, happy with where you're going, it's like we said earlier. Do you know what? You'll get the people around you. You will attract what you put out.
Fully, completely, man. And
I want to be this beer swigging, gin, shot knocking back guy in the pub on a Friday night. I don't want that. But if I don't do that anymore, I haven't got any friends.
Yeah, and then
there you go.
Yeah,
and then you're not going to change, and you're never going to be happy.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's one of those things where, but if you start doing stuff, if you start becoming the person you want to be, going to the gym, putting yourself out there, and becoming who you want to be, you would eventually. And it doesn't happen quick. But if you start putting yourself out there, you start meeting the people that you're destined to be around. You put it out. It's like, you said I was a hippie for wearing this and that, but you put good vibes out, you're going to get the good vibes back.
Too right.
And so
energies attract, right?
100%.
Mate, massively.
You proved it last week as well with that story.
Last week.
What was that?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Was it Umar proved it last week with a story? He went down to a gym and for the first time, right? And some guy just was like, "Hey, I want you to be my trainer," even though he'd never set foot in that gym before.
Yeah. Just the receptionist at the gym. It was just
exactly.
chance meeting, and you just be yourself, and people like that, and I think it's kind of a liberating thing for people. Where what you're talking about, Nick, is your film. Is it frozen on your screen as well? We've got you frozen in the middle.
Yeah,
we'll clear up in a second.
No, man, I'm not frozen. I was listening.
Oh no! It's you're frozen on our screen. You're definitely frozen on our screen.
Yeah.
It's cool.
There we go. You're back.
He's back in the room.
Oh, I'm actually not frozen. I'm like,
that's funny.
See, I'm not frozen. I was actually just listening. The funny thing is, I was intensely listening to you, but you thought I was frozen, so you stopped. I was like, yeah.
Right, you got to watch the podcast back.
Exactly.
Well, you were defo frozen. But it's
anyway,
okay. You're being concentrated as well. Now, I was saying about the way you are right now. It's in my opinion.
Keep moving to make sure I'm still here.
yeah, exactly. We got it.
That's
canary.
It was the fact that you're not afraid to be who you are. It actually attracts people to you. The energy that you're putting out just by being you. That's a liberating thing, because people sometimes they can't exact themselves the way they want to, so they end up living vicariously through people and end up moving closer. The energy just kind of populates, and all of a sudden they'll just pop up and they'll I'll be here, I'll be a follower of your Instagram. It's like that now, isn't it? It's a way of kind of being part of your tribe without being next door to you. You know what I mean? So that's what you're finding, man.
The funny thing is, I'm finding it very hard to be myself on Instagram.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how to do it. I can't do it. Like what I am with you guys now, I'm sitting here, I'm having a laugh, I'm chatting, and hopefully you're enjoying it. I do it on my podcast, and I've got my mates and that, and then like Umar, like you've known me, you've seen me, probably not recently, but I'm way more, animated and everything in real life, and I have like having a laugh. I don't care. But for some reason, because call me old, I'm 40 years old, and I don't look it. But I don't fucking act it either. But nearly 40 years old, and I don't get the whole social media thing, and I still find it hard to be myself. Like, you won't see a video of me being this chilled and relaxed on Instagram, because as soon as I put that video, for one, I'm talking to you guys, so I can see you. But if I'm looking at myself, I'm like thinking, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm like, I feel awkward. I'm like, I'm just looking at myself here. It's like, this is weird. And I'm kind of in the middle of a street talking to my phone.
Yeah.
It's like, I didn't do that. I didn't even have when we were younger, we'd just sit at the train station singing to ourselves. We didn't have a Walkman. We had no, it was like, la, 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 la. You look like a madman, you know what I mean? Just standing there talking to yourself. You have to amuse yourself sitting there for 30 minutes waiting for a train. So it's kind of like, now I'm kind of like in this situation of, I don't know how to act. I've got to do it because I want to grow my social media for what I want to achieve. I need to put this out there, but I still, you're talking about being yourself and that. I can be myself on the podcast. I can be myself in these videos. I can be myself in real life. But as soon as I go onto Instagram, goes out the window. And I don't know why. I've got to learn. I know what I've got to do. I just don't want to do it. And that's one of the things we were talking about earlier. And like my wife says, I have to walk around the flat. I've got to walk around the house just videoing myself nonstop and talking to the camera.
So,
I've got to do that. I feel an absolute uncomfortable, and I feel like an absolute twat. But if I want to achieve what I want to achieve in my life in the next few years, I have to go through, and I keep putting it off, and I keep saying I've got to do it, but I do have to actually do it very soon. I've got to do it. And when you guys see me doing more videos on social media, you're now, anyone listening to this now knows.
He finally did it.
Not just that, I've been walking around the house for fucking like the last 2 months, non-stop, in the shower, cooking my food, like just talking to myself, getting used to that shit. And then it will take me about 5 hours for that 15-second clip. And it's just because I'm not used to it. Like, all these 20-year-olds, you jump around and I see them on their cameras all the time. And I'm thinking, what the fuck are you chatting about? Like, who gives a shit about this?
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? It's got it the other way around. It's like the life skills ain't there, but they've got that skill on how to be like fake in front of a camera. And then as soon as the camera is down, it's like, okay, let's just wait for the likes,
But that's the sad thing is, because our generation, we took the in-person as the substance. That's what we kind of like, that's what we see as important. But the problem is, especially in this lockdown shit, it's been completely flipped, where it's more important to be liked on Instagram than it is to real life. Like, people don't care.
I love that.
Like, people, for some reason, people are happy to offend or let down their friends in real life now, but they won't let down their followers.
Yes.
It's like real life now is gone. Like, for a lot of people, society now, but the whole society friendship thing, how to communicate with people, is going downhill, and people are trying to impress people they've never met before, and they're taking that as a success. And they're more worried about their friends on social media who they never met before than they are about their people in real life. They let relationships go with their partners. They let relationship go with their family and their best mates, just so they can have friends on social media. Now, I understand that for people who are trying to run a business from it, but I know there's people out there I know who are doing really well, or they know how to cut the two, because it's a business. But the problem is, there's a lot of them out there who are doing it just purely just for attention and for likes. And that's the strange thing. Like, as you said, I've got the like the outside world skills down to a T, where we see that as important, our generation. But unfortunately, what's happened is the generation has flipped, and the in-person skills aren't important anymore, which is kind of scary. Well, they are important, but they're not seeing it at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things, Nick. Like, if I can say this about you, is we had this chat recently. in comparison to other people who are your same age or maybe same time spent coming up in the industry. That's probably a better qualification of saying it rather than saying same age. You've continually moved with the times, and this is just another thing you've got to work with the times on. You know what I mean? Another hurdle you've got to clear where some of the stuff that you're studying now wasn't around when you started. Some of the thought processes weren't around. Some of the ways of applying yourself, like social media, defo weren't around. But now, what it's so weird, isn't it? It's like having to express yourself to this thing. It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
It's like having to express yourself to a human being. Well, that's deep for millennia of generations of us, right? Like we learn to communicate. This is so fucking strange. Like, why are we even talking to this inanimate square on my table, right? That's what you're struggling with. It's probably the most natural thing to struggle with in this world right now. You know what I mean? Like not having a human being there, but being able to emote yourself. Don't worry about it, man. You'll figure that out like you figured everything else out. But it's totally normal.
Exactly.
Mate, and that's another great thing you just said there about adapting. That's another thing if you want to get through life. That's the growth thing. It's like that old snake analogy. The snake sheds its skin, and that's what we have to be as humans. We're constantly growing, constantly changing and evolving. Like, you can't, if you're the same person in 10 years, 5 years, in fucking 5 months time, then you're not progressing in life. You're not moving forward in life. And I know people go, I have arguments all the time, and people go, oh, but it's not about that, it's about this. It's like, but it's not about, I'm not talking about if you want to earn more money or this and that, but it's about becoming a better parent, becoming a better partner. Like me and my wife, like one thing I do think, I don't like giving advice, like life guru, and I hate these people who kind of, half the people I know who are life coaches are actually fucked up. But anyway, and
shit together.
Yeah, but they have. Like I had my wife one point had some lady crying saying how shit her life was, who was a life coach, who then tried to get work from her.
Oh Jesus!
It's like you just been crying to me. But anyway,
is this like extreme? Yeah, exactly. Is this like a version of extreme honesty? I'm just being honest with you. So.
Exactly. Yeah. So
exchange.
The point was like the one thing I do think I can give advice on is my relationship, because we literally spend 24/7 together. I mean, we're probably unhealthily codependent, but especially in lockdown now. But we got a great.
Yeah.
We're just really close to after 12 years. And we spent all our time together, but we grow together. So what I mean by that is when people are scared of this growth and changing, evolving, every probably 6 months, we sit down together and be like, right, because she's very career driven as well. So we sit there and go, right, what do we want personally? And what do we want together? And how we're going to do that? So she will say what she wants. I will say what I want. Now, this goes for personal and for career. So we'll sit there and go, okay, in personal life, I want my barn conversion in the middle of a country. Now, if she says, yeah, sweet, awesome, we're on the same wavelength. But if she turns around and goes, no, I miss London, I want to move back to London, like, oh, fuck. Okay, we've got to discuss this. We've got to kind of come to an arrangement here. And we sit there and go, okay, why do you think that? Why do you think this? It's like, okay, so what do you want in your career? Okay, I want this. Okay, well, moving back to London might not work for that. I want this. Is that going to work together? So we sit down and say what we want separately, and then we say what we want together, and we make sure that all aligns. So we can continue growing together as separate people, but also together as a couple. And that's where it comes down to, you're always evolving. Like the person you were 6 months ago, you're not that person anymore. Shit's happened, and you have to start thinking to yourself, and that's when you got to keep just reevaluating, but not just yourself. If you are with someone, don't just reevaluate yourself. You have to reevaluate together, because one of the biggest reasons, well, again, I'm not a relationship, but from what I've seen in the past, people do this. They grow apart. Yep. Relationships go not because you don't love each other, you've just grown apart. And that goes for friendships. It can go for work colleagues. It can go for for friendships. It can go for partnerships. Whatever, actually, a partnership, whatever kind. What happens normally is this. So, be it whatever partnership you're in, you should always be evolving together. And it's only when you don't evolve together, that's when you start to fall apart. So, as Umar said, you've always got to sit down and think, right, I'm not that person. I have to check myself. Who am I still? Am I still working to my values? These are my values. I'm still this person. I still want to be that person. Am I making steps to be that person? And I think I spoke about this to a guy called Kyle, who does business coaching. And when people talk about brands, Kyle Trainer, friend of mine, and like we spoke about, branding is you, it's your values. And as you just basically building yourself and your personality and who you are, and you keep evolving, that kind of, I'm not going into that, but the brand just comes along with you because, you know, we know who Paul Check built a brand of who he was. Poliquin just built a brand because who he was. You know, The Rock, he's just built a brand who he is. It's just, you get that persona, you get that who you want, and you just keep working on that.
Yeah, man. I think there's a lot of value in what you said there, man, especially like as couples as well. I think, you just see a lot of people fall down because they just don't share. They're just not communicating. It's like something as simple as just sitting down and going, hey, this is where I want to be. Where do you want to be? It's like, are people even asking that question to each other? You know, that's, I think that's super valuable.
And me and you had that, didn't we, G? We had that with the podcast, really. Just sitting down and being like, do we like the logo? Do we like this? Do we like that? Do we like the other? You know, and there's so many things that when you start to peel back the layers, there's just an absolute Pandora's box of ways we can go, and we've been there in this conversation, and that's what makes it so much fun. I find that kind of doing it on your own is definitely one thing, but quite literally doubling the workload when you have somebody else to do it with, not only are you twice as effective because I'm sure you'll say this, Nick, like both of you working together, you can plan for a bigger home because it's two salaries. You can plan for a different take on life because you can actually have someone there to bounce things off of. Same thing, if I was doing this podcast on my own, I know I'd be missing quite literally half the enjoyment because G wouldn't be there. You know what I mean? And that's it's something worth doing, just because of the opportunities there, right?
Yeah, that's the problem. The only problem that occurs in that situation is when people do stuff themselves, it does give you more freedom. But what happens in a relationship, what normally happens is too many people try and go for power, be it the man or the female or someone, and there's a power struggle most of the time. And one person just basically tells you how it is, the other person just goes along for the ride. And when a partnership like you guys, you're discussing where the things are and everything. And I think when it comes to a partnership, a friendship, or the podcast, or relationship, or wife and husband and all that, you just have to remember that the only way you're going to keep going in the same direction is discussing and make sure both of you are growing, but just make sure you're both going together. And I think what happens is a lot of people in relationships one of them doesn't give their opinion and just goes along with the ride, and that's when issues can occur, because then all of a sudden both of you start doing this, and for some reason, like I said, old school, I communicate, my wife communicates, and people just don't like communicating because they're scared of what the other person's going to think or say.
It's this, isn't it? It's this. People so good at communicating on here. Like, how many times? I don't know if I can speak from my experience. Amount of relationships where the girl's happy to text, but then talk on the phone, or let's meet up in person. It's like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you actually just be a real human being? What the fuck?
Dude, this weird. Is hilarious, right? This actually happened to me as well. This is ages ago. I saw a hot girl at a restaurant. Long story short, I saw a hot girl at a restaurant. I actually went up to her and she had a couple of friends with her, right? And I used a cheeky line. She went for it. And then her mates were like, I was chatting to her and she was like, I was like, hey, give me your number basically. And she was like, I don't really know you. I was like, all right, just ask me anything you want. And she started asking me questions there and then. It's like, I'm left my mate just eating dinner by himself basically for a minute. But I was like, don't worry, bro. He egged me on to do it. And and then her mates were like, you know what? Why don't you guys just meet, exchange Facebook details and start messaging each other? And that I'm like, I'm literally standing right in front of you. What the fuck do you mean start exchanging Facebook details? I don't know. No, this is not how this is going to go. I'm not going to fucking do that. It's so weird. It's so strange.
Yeah.
Like that is actually what happens. Is like, here's a person communicating with you and trying to and showing some value, and you're like, no, let's just take it off online instead. It's such a strange phenomenon.
Because
It's
but you
hilarious.
don't have to be, because then that you can hide.
Yeah.
You can hide
Yeah,
that shit.
it's
And so people who aren't happy with themselves, or people aren't confident, then sorry, let's get a charger. You know, people aren't happy with themselves or confident, they can hide behind a screen and be a different person.
Yeah, exactly.
But
You just
that's
give yourself
just
a lot of
that-
time to like think about what you want to do, gonna do, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I guess, it's just for me, that's why I just do not resonate with what is it, all those apps and shit like Tinder and all that lot. I'm like, I just can't deal with that, man.
Well, exactly. But we're going back to what you said. Oh, I don't know. Sorry, old man doing technology. So,
It's amazing that you got a podcast up and running, man.
dude, do you know what? I can't even believe how I even did that.
Hey,
You
respect.
know what though? That comes down though to, I'll tell you something. When people say stuff like, I don't know how to do it or anything else, do you know what? There's no fucking excuse these days, because Google.
Yeah. That's it.
I had a client who was building a shed. Now I thought he just meant a little shed. This thing was fucking huge. I was like, I was like, it's like, you know, it was like another. It basically was building like an office in the back of his garden. And I was like, dude, what did you used to like? Was you a builder back in the days or something?
Yeah.
And it was like, no, I just Googled it.
Respect.
I was like, what?
Mate,
It was like,
you can
the
find
manner-
out how to. You can find out how to build a mud hut on YouTube, for fuck's sake. There's this dude who
Mate,
just
you can
does
do
the whole
anything.
thing. It's amazing.
Exactly. Like, you know, I was thinking about how to do a podcast and shit, and I was just like,
Yeah.
and ever since I've had a few people reach out saying, how did you do it? I was like, I Googled it. I was like,
Yeah.
how do I do a podcast? What mic do I use? Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
What software? Okay, I'll download that. How much is that? £12
Yeah.
a month. Okay, cool. Okay, so I've got that software, and where do I host it? Okay, Buzzsprout. Cool. So there we go. Okay, how am I doing this shit? I'm okay, done. I've got a podcast.
Yeah,
Googled
exactly.
it. It was like,
It was literally,
you know,
it was like, that's what happened with
if
me
you-
and Umar
yeah.
as well. When we got it set up, it's like, oh, you need a logo for this. I spent 2 hours. I was like, I'm not going to think about this. I'm just going to come up with something that we represent, and we'll change it later. It doesn't matter. We're in the process. We're talking about, okay, how are we going to change it, or do we need to change it, whatever. But it's just like, just do the shit, and like piece by piece, you will just come together, and all of a sudden you got a podcast, and all of a sudden you're 28 episodes in.
Yeah. And you know, it's what we said earlier. Action breeds confidence. If you want something, just fucking
Yes.
Google it and just start. Because I tell you, what,
That's
if it's wrong, you just stop and start again. If it's wrong, you just
Take that back.
So basically-
That's such a modern day motivational line. You want something, just fucking Google it.
it's fucking true, isn't it?
That's awesome.
In the old days, we went to the yellow pages. These days, it's
Yes.
Google. And
Yellow
it's just
pages.
like,
What a throwback. I'll
There's-
definitely
there's
remember
like-
that.
There's two things here as well. So earlier it was like, you want something, just fucking work for it. And the next one is, you want something, just fucking Google it.
basically, if
There's
you
a
want
couple of ways to
something,
do it.
Google it, then work for it.
And then work for it.
So-
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the quote of the episode.
Literally, there's no excuse not to do anything these days, because you can build something, Google something, you can do everything now so quick and cheap. And as you said, you can always change it up later and make it better. And if it doesn't work, you just go to the next one on Google.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
just go first on the list,
Just
that
go
didn't
down the
work.
list.
Second on the list, that didn't work. Third on the list, one of these will work.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you ever came across it as well, but I was looking up, like strategies of how to grow a podcast and how to market and stuff like that. One of them made me laugh, like straight away. I was like, I'm disregarding this piece of information. He's like I'm trying to think from first principles, like how to do this. Let me look at this piece of advice from a podcast hosting company. And one of them was like, print business cards with your podcast on it and give them out to people. I was like, what fucking age are you living in? It's like that is so niche. It's like business networking,
Wow.
maybe, but that is so niche. I was just thinking there is whatever you just said has made me disregard everything and anything you will ever say ever again. I was like, I couldn't
Wow,
believe
it
that.
kind of like completely contradicts the whole entire
Yeah.
platform of what you're in.
That's it,
Jesus.
exactly. I was like, okay, I know that's like one of the things you may have suggested, and you like it works for some people, but I'm like, no, no, I'm not with
Yeah.
you. I'm sorry.
But no, so going like what
Sorry,
Umar
man.
said, or what you started the whole thing on of like, how did I get to where I am now? I think we just kind of covered it in the sense of I've just I've had to keep evolving. When shit's happened, I've looked at myself and just gone. I said to you, I worked on myself in a way that worked for me. I then just basically get some balls and put the work in.
Yeah,
It's just as Ben
that's it, man.
Bukowski would say, take your balls out your purse and go to work. And
That's it.
I love that.
that literally, even though he uses that for the gym, I just think it's generally in life. You just
Yeah.
have to work. You have to be self-aware, and you just got to be the only way you're ever going to go through life. I think if you're going to take anything away from this chat, is if you're ever going to achieve anything in life, you got to be happy to basically keep evolving, roll the punches, and keep assessing yourself.
Yeah, fully.
That
That's
if you don't, you can might don't get me wrong. There's successful people out there who haven't, but they'll hit a wall. I'm talking if you want to keep, like you might become a millionaire with like 1 million by being a douche, not not growing and not reassessing. But if you actually did have a growth mindset and you're happy reassessing and re-evolving, guess what? You would have 10 million in the bank. So you can achieve great stuff without kind of those principles, but I can tell you what, you'll go a lot further if you have those principles. Like the business people I know who are like, I mean, I'm talking billionaires,
Right.
um, are that people. They're the ones who I know some. Obviously, been in our industry, we know people at levels, and the people who are, I don't know, are wealthy. They're happy. They're the ones who kind of aren't that set on growth as such. They're here. They're happy where they are now. They're stopped. But the people I know who are like flying and they're still going, they're the ones who are quite happy to just basically try, fail, learn. If they don't know something, they'll ask. They haven't got an ego. They've let the ego go a long time ago. They know they don't know everything. They're evolving. They're progressing. Do you know what I mean? And that I think that's just the main thing. Just you just got to keep, let the ego go, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, man.
That's
Yeah,
that's
fully.
another fucking conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
massively, man.
I
We
actually
will
don't know where
cover
we're
it
going in this
someday.
conversation.
We're
I
gonna
don't
have
know
you back
where
We're
this
on, man.
everywhere.
conversation is
We're gonna have you
gone,
back on
where
to
it's
keep up with this.
going.
I
Exactly.
I need to pull this back, right? Because one thing you just said there reminded me of the segue I wanted to get into with my name. So we do this thing every week, Nick, right? We have a separate name for something that's happened in the week or something that we just want to shout out, right? So I don't know if you watch mixed martial arts, I don't know if you watch UFC. Do you ever catch anything
Nah,
like that? No?
nah, it's not
Okay,
my
so
thing.
does the name Khabib Nurmagomedov ring a bell?
It sounds made up, but no.
Don't worry,
I don't know. I
when
don't know. I don't
The
know. I
thing
don't know if
is,
I'll come across. I don't know if I'll come across racist for that or not. But
well,
everybody
basically,
probably thought that at some point as well. And
like that real name?
to be honest,
that is a
mate,
real name?
he might as well be made up because his keys is unreal.
Yeah,
Oh,
legit.
really?
Yeah.
With the last word of the name, if you manage to spell that on Scrabble, I think Scrabble board just explodes, and you just get all the points. You just complete Scrabble, right? It's like the end of Jumanji.
Exactly.
The whole rainforest just goes back into the game, and that's it. You win, right? You spell Khabib Nurmagomedov, that's it. Game over. But
Done.
basically, he's just gone 29-0 in his MMA career. Like not lost. He
Damn.
beat Conor McGregor 2 fights ago. Like schooled the guy, and he fought probably what was his most dangerous fight against the guy called Justin Gaethje yesterday night. And honestly, dude, when you get 5 minutes, go back and look at this guy's career and how he came up, and literally look at how he left the game. Because I won't say too much because I want you to go away and look at it, right? And we'll chat about it afterwards. But the trueness to this kid coming up, the way he came up, getting trained by his dad, and unfortunately his dad actually passed away through this lockdown period, and he came back for one last fight, which he won yesterday, and he retired after the fight. And that was my name. My name is about Long Live the King in regards to him and the legacy he kind of left behind, but not just the legacy, but how he did what he did in regards to staying true to his family, staying true to his roots of wrestling, and wrestling the shit out of everyone that he fought against. Just amazing career. Yeah, absolutely bonkers,
awesome.
man. So you got to go in and research this guy.
Yeah, man.
Man. But just going on that topic, when you like the people I look up to and I love, like the one guy who's now the most powerful person in the world, The Rock. Why does everyone love him? He was down and out. He rebuilt like $7. We know why his company's called $7 because that's what he had like 20 years ago. Only 20 years ago. Yeah. He's gone from being homeless with $7 in his pocket to the most followed man and probably the most powerful man. Let's face facts. He's gonna run for.
He's gonna do it for sure.
Have you seen the latest advert for his film?
No,
I haven't.
Dude. Okay.
What's it called?
This is what's it? Tongan? Is it Tongan?
Yeah. Simon.
Simon. He's got a new. He's doing a film about his life. The beginning of it. Yeah. The beginning is an American bald eagle with a flag flying in the background. Okay. You watch it. Yeah. It is proper. Okay, he's going for. He's running. There's no doubt he's going to do something. But the fact of the matter is, everyone loves him because his values. Everyone just loves the guy and he's just himself. But then you look at someone like Tony Robbins. You look at all these people. Like I was saying about evolving, The Rock had to evolve into a different person. Then, like, as you said with me, I've evolved completely. Then you have, if you look at loads of millionaires, they've been bankrupt, like completely down and out and lost everything at least once.
Yep.
You know, Simon Cowell was bankrupt at 40 years old, had to go back and live with his parents. Yeah. You know, these people have to then take stock and go, fuck, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? Where am I? Who do I want to be? And that's like, you know, as you said about this guy, he kept to his values and
where he is now. Yeah, taking that, what you just said there, back to the barbell, back to the gym. It's like what you were saying about earlier is going all the way with it and then taking stock when it doesn't go right. But you have to go all the way with it first. You know what I mean? You can't just flirt on the edges. You have to really spend yourself and really give yourself to the cause to learn where you break down. And then going back and be like, why did I break down? What can I introspect on and actually put in place to make sure it doesn't happen again? And then if you actually really give a shit about improving yourself, and what we talk about all the time, me and G, is about being an effective person for yourself, and then being an effective person for the people around you. You want to make sure you don't make these mistakes again, because you don't get every time around. You don't get to just do it again. This day, once it's gone, it's gone. You know what I mean? And that's it. All kind of encapsulates nicely with these people that we are on massive stages. They're all following the same method and the same principles that we're following, but we're doing it in a different setting. It's sometimes we don't want millions, we don't want whatever, but the recipe is the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's what you do. Do you know what? My train of thought, I was going to say something then, and just it went. What did you say? Oh man, I had something good to say. I actually had something really good to say.
It'll come, bro.
Boom. This
happens to us every time as well.
It was good. That was good shit I was just about to drop. And totally
gone. It will come back. When it comes back, just cut us off and just run into the conversation and be like, I've got it.
Just give a couple of words of what you said.
Give a couple of words of what I said. Oh man, ad-libbing.
He's lost it.
Reeling that fish back in now, man. That fish is gone. I mean, it's off the horizon now. So
he's talking about whether you're famous or whether you're a regular person. The principles that you follow to success. And taking it back to under the barbell.
Being introspective.
You follow the same.
Looking at where you broke down. Looking at why you being effective for yourself. Yeah. What G just said.
Yeah, man.
Piece together. G.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say to Matt. It was being effective, but that's kind of like. No, I can't remember exactly what I was going to say. But as you said, breaking down where you're breaking down and being effective, it's like when you can't be an effective person or in life or anything to anyone else unless you are sorted yourself, and that's why doing all this self work. It wasn't what I was gonna say, but it just fucking led there. But
Yeah.
you know, and you are completely right in the gym and outside, but you just got to constantly keep critiquing yourself. But people just don't want to do that. People are just
Yeah.
they want to live in their cozy little. They got their cozy beds, and you can go into that whole thing about life, and that's why doing the cold showers every morning, you know, to me, would be something just to basically get you out your comfort zone and do shit you don't want to do. Because we have just got too comfortable. Like I was even talking about this the other day. Oh, I talked about it today actually, Sarah. I have now become so lazy. Like I now sit in the spare room at my desk, like talking to you guys and that. I've now got so lazy. I can't be bothered to go out anymore. I'm like, oh, go to the gym. Oh, I just want to get a gym in the garage. And if I actually, if we move
Just have
now
everything
and I
at
built,
arm's length.
yeah, if we were looking at moving, and we're looking at getting a place with a nice big garage, and I'll tell you what, if I did that, I'd become a hermit and wouldn't fucking go out again. At the moment, I've become a bit. It's a bit of a Stockholm syndrome. Even though I hate it, and I'm getting a bit lonely in the sense of like interactions with people. At the same time, I can't. It's kind of like made me not bother to go out to meet people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I've noted, like, even I'm self-aware of that. I'm self-aware enough to actually see the effects that this COVID's having on me. Like, I know people are like, oh no, I'm loving this. It's like great, or I hate, but I bet people aren't really seeing the effect it's having on me.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's making me fucking lazy to go out and to meet people, 100%. And it's not because I'm scared. I'm not scared of catching it and dying tomorrow of COVID.
But there's a new
But
habit
I'm not
that's in
going
place now
out.
as well, right?
Exactly. That's what I mean. That's exactly it. It's like Stockholm syndrome. You know you're getting a bit lonely of not interacting, but at the same time, you got this habit of not going out.
Yeah.
And it's human behavior. It's nothing to do with I'm weak or you're weak and we're shit people.
Yeah.
It's habit forming. If you do something enough, and I'm not unhappy. I'm not miserable. I'm actually fucking happy at the moment. And the scary thing is, what's that old thing? It's one of those memes that flies around. I don't know who says it, but it's like try not to spend too much time by yourself. I think it's Tom Hardy or something. He said, "Don't spend too much time. Spending too much time with yourself is quite scary because then you realize how much you like it." and it's kind of happening. I'm like, I've got to start actually going and meeting people because the habit I am forming is actually really it's not my character. And I'm quite, and it makes me think about what the fuck's going to happen when everyone breaks free. Everyone, if I'm like that, I'm a very social person in a way when I want to be. And the fact that even I'm becoming very, I'll just kind of go in the spare room, close the door and just sit at my desk all day long. It's kind of making me think, what the fuck's going to happen when everyone comes out of this?
Yes, it's gonna be wild, man. It's gonna be wild. I mean, you're already seeing it as well when like they introduced like new lockdown measures, and then people are like, all right, well, the night it kicks in, I'm just gonna get fucked up with my friends, and then they're getting kicked out of pubs at 10 o'clock, and then they're just lining up the off license, buying drinks, and then just taking a party back to the house. It's just like, it's kind of it's being exploded. It's exploding out of people, and then so if whenever it goes back, it's just I think there's gonna be a lot of that. I think there's gonna be a lot of like there's this explosion of when things go too far before they get reeled in again. It's gonna be one of those probably.
Yeah, it's but yeah. So as we said, self-awareness. I think that is I think the whole key, if you were to put down this whole thing, is just being self-aware. Self-critical and self-aware. And I think if you spoke to any successful people, it literally is, they just can constantly they're very self-aware of their actions. And that's the one thing me and my wife, we like to think we're both doing pretty well in our chosen careers. And the one thing we're very good at is sitting there and going, right, this is a situation, I fucked up. And that's, but again, that's another thing I was going to say a minute ago was, don't be scared to fuck up.
Yeah.
It's the old saying, fuck up. If you fuck up once, like my old boss, Nick Mitchell, I had a great relationship with him, and it used to be quite funny because I used to push the boundaries all the time. Literally, the amount, like I would be with a line, like and I would always just kind of like, just get to around here and just kind of have a little push on it. And he'll be like, get back down. I'm like, okay. And then I'll be like, the line's there again. And then what I would do though, it'll be another rule, which I'll go, okay, I'm just going to go over here. I'll just like, just poke this line. And then it'll be like, okay, this line. Because what he always said about me was the fact that I never made the same mistake twice. I never pushed the same button twice. I would try things, they would go wrong. So I'd either improve it or not do that. And, you know what I mean? I'd kind of like, it's just don't be scared of fucking up. If you fuck up twice, then that's the same mistake and that's a habit then. Where if you do it once, it's a mistake. Twice is a habit.
Yeah. So
again, what's that come down to? Self-awareness. Everything just comes down. Everything we've spoken about, I think, today. We've been talking now for nearly 2 hours by the looks of it. Fucking hell. Yeah, so I think
it's just par for the course.
Yeah. Mate, the way I see it, to me, I'm not even on a podcast. I'm just chatting with my two mates.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, mate, self-awareness, I think, for anyone.
What do you think with this, Nick? If you had to take this self-awareness now, and you had to go forward with it, or even go back with it, say you were talking to your 21-year-old self, right? And you could almost plant a little seed and be like, think about this a bit more, or kind of worry about that a little bit less. Would you have any advice for your younger self? It's a typical podcast kind of question, but I like asking to certain people.
And I'm going to tell you a very cliched fucking answer is like, I wouldn't change a fucking thing.
Yeah, I do it.
Yeah, man.
Because I've actually enjoyed my life. I might not have the success, like, you know, I don't own a house, but I can tell stories of me being a cowboy in the outback and making bulls chase me through gates and kite surfing around the world and living. I'm actually this is a fact that no one knows. I'm actually a fully fledged tribe member of a village in Fiji.
Crazy.
They inducted you.
Yep, because I played rugby when I lived in Fiji, kite surfing. Right. I played rugby for the local village, but to play rugby for the local village, you had to be part of the village. So I had to have an induction ceremony with the actual. I went into the chief's hut. I drank kava with the chief and his family to be inducted into the village, so then I can play rugby for them. That's so to this day, I'm actually part of a Fijian village.
I love how like Gava is a legit thing, right? Like, do you have it? You're like, yeah, like that's such a the way you use that word as well. That just kind of clicks. Like culturally, we drink a similar thing. Obviously, it's different in different places.
Yeah,
but that's so cool, man. That's legit.
That is epic. But, you ever going to make a visit back?
Yeah.
Probably not. Unfortunately, there's too many places we want to visit.
They'll stay right here. They'll stay right here.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, it was quite funny because even she must have been about 3-4 years old. Actually saw me and burst out in tears because she never saw a white man. And I was just like, whoa. But that's what I mean. It's just like the stories I've got and where we want to go and what I'm doing is, and that's another thing as well. Fucking, we keep going tangents. Is live your own life, live your own story. You know, someone else's chapter. Like buying a house isn't on my priority list. Yeah, I'm 14. Everyone's like, oh my god, you haven't bought a house. I don't even know where I want to live. I don't know if I ever want to buy a house. And everyone goes, oh my god, and it's just like, no, just live your life. I live my life. You know, you don't know anything about me or anything about what I've got, or, you know, you don't know anything about me, but people judge because it's like, you haven't got a house at 14. It's like, well, that's not the life I want. I haven't worked. I've never, ever, ever wanted to buy a house.
Right.
You know,
different measures of success, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the thing is though, you say it's these, yeah, exactly. And it's different success, but people are, oh yeah, but it's an investment. It's like, okay, so it's an investment you can't touch until you sell your house and become homeless. Or you die. Where, yeah, I might rent, but then if I've got 200k in the bank, what's wrong with that? You've got 200k in your house when you die, or in 40 years time. But I've got some cash in the bank. And by the way, I'm not saying I've got that much money in the bank. I'm just saying. I'm saying theoretically. That's just like that's kind of like my argument is. We have different opinions on how to live life, and I think I must admit, I think everyone would be much happier if they just concentrated on living their story and not trying to fit into other people's stories.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
You
You're
know,
totally right.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on, Drew.
Yeah,
and I think,
I think, because like the things you're talking about are like basically principles to live that life. Is like it's not saying like do what I do. It's like no, we know that broadly speaking, you look around, people who are successful are following these principles and these kinds of habits. It's like The Rock has very strong values that he wants to follow, and he's as powerful as he is, but you can do the same thing in your own version, right? It's like you're not looking at The Rock and being like, I want to be The Rock. You're looking at The Rock and being like, okay, what does he do? Now you're looking underneath the surface. You're not looking at what the shiny object is that it turns out to be. It's like, all right, what has he done to get to where he is? As impossible as it looks, it started from somewhere. So what is that somewhere? You know, it's like, okay, had some hardcore values and just lived by them essentially. And it's like that's part of it.
yeah, and everyone. I just think that's the biggest issue. People are just trying to live someone else's life in their story, and they get, and then also they let other people's write theirs.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
They
just
let
having
other
that
people.
that kind of assertiveness to be able to just be like, hang on a second, I need to do that, or like develop that assertiveness as well. Is just realize that that's another thing that you can develop.
Because it's quite funny because as Umar said when he met me in that, and it's one of those things where one of my I went too long. Do you know what? When I was most unhappy was when I cared too much about what others thought of me.
Yeah,
The times I look back in my life and to where I am now, the happiest I've been is when I don't give a fuck
yeah,
of what you care, what your opinion of me is. I really don't care. Like we all
yeah,
care to an extent of, you know, to a point what others think, but it doesn't rule my life. It doesn't, you know, and as we said earlier, where if you speak your truth, you don't have to watch your back. It's kind of like that. I think you get to a point where if you've been yourself and you've lived to what your values are, then you can honestly say that your actions have been driven by love. So if you do upset a friend or family member, then it's out of love and respect for them, and you're trying to help them, so you shouldn't feel guilty. But then also, it's one of those things when and if you don't care what other people think and you're just being yourself, and who cares about the people who don't know you?
yeah,
Their
Too
opinion
right,
doesn't
man.
matter. But the people who do matter to you, if you are living, and as I said before about being who you are, you attract the people around you. Those people shouldn't be offended by you because they've been attracted to you for who you are.
yeah,
That's the one,
yeah,
man. That's the one. And I think, well, linking it a little bit into Fitness Rebels and the way you coach us as well. I feel like, personally speaking, the coaching has allowed me to come back to who I am, if that makes sense. Like the way you've kind of pieced together. Okay, you had this issue at the start. Fix this, fix this, fix this, fix it. All of a sudden, I feel like I said this to you pretty early on. I said, like, I have the same enthusiasm for training I had when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. And I know I'm not far away from that, like years wise, but it's I think you doing the work on yourself, it's kind of found its way through your coaching style and the way you talk to us and the way I'm sure you talk to your other coaching clients, and then the way you program for us. There's more to it than just A1, A2, A3. You know what I mean? There's more to like the reason you put an exercise in the program. And just talk on that for a second, Nick, because I've found being a coaching client of yours really, really fun. And we chatted about kind of doing this where I should have done this before, but now doing it now, it's a great experience. So just
Well,
touch on that for me if you can.
yeah.
the
Well,
thing is,
yeah.
what people
Tell us about Fitness Rebels.
the thing is, people don't realize when you design a program, you're writing the program for a person, and so you got to write the program to their mindset, not just their goal. But first of all, you can have anything. Now, if you wanna, you can be a good all rounder. But if you want to be fucking great at something, if you want to specialize, there'll be trade offs. Like if someone comes to me and said, "I want to take a shitload of tren and be a power lifter," cool. But do realize if you take tren, you'll probably be crying at Harry Potter, and it will make you strong, But
Wait, no
yeah,
one
your
else cried at
blood
Harry Potter?
So lay
your
off
blood
that
pressure's
trend,
going to
you lay off that
cry.
trend.
Yeah, exactly. I know. So it's kind of like you go, if you want to do that, cool. But just realize you are going to be playing with your health and physically and mentally, and you're going down a path which could be detrimental to these things. But if that's what you want to do, cool. We're going to try and do it the best you can. Or if you want to be a hippie hugging trees, cool. And it's just, but the problem is people are trying to tell you what not to do. They're trying to make you sound bad. And now it's like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. It's about having mobility. Mobility's become the cool fucking thing to do lately. It's like, and it's like, come on now. If you can fucking, if you can squat and you can move without pain, why do I need to be able to suck my own dick? I don't. Okay, it's a party trick, and it's like, cool if you can.
What
Congrats,
kind of
you probably
parties,
make-
man?
I feel like I should leave right now. I can't join this conversation. It's past my bedtime, guys. I'm sorry. I have to go now.
No, okay. But it's one of
Don't
those
be
things
all
where
innocent
it's
like
like,
us, Umar. Yeah.
so I'm not going to tell anyone what they can't have, but what I will tell them is what they've got to give up for it. And then there's a lot of too many people out there saying, "Oh yeah, you don't have to give up this. You can have everything without." No, if you want to be fucking great at something, you need to give up something. You might have to. You know what? Yes, sleep's important, and sleep does change a lot of things. But if for the next 6 months, if it means you got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get some fucking training in, guess what? You got to get some fucking training in. But at some point, we're going to have to bring back and change your program so you can get sleep in. But it's one of those things where the whole point of fitness levels is like, look, I'll train you to do whatever, but we're going to do it the best way possible for you. But and it's just basically putting together the mind and body in a way, not in a hippie way, but it's just bringing the things in when they're needed. And I think what people are doing, they're doing the shit which is not needed because they're getting lost through, what is it? They're losing the trees for the forest or whatever, and they're getting too hooked up on these really cool shit to do when you're actually doing the stuff at the wrong time. Like, people are saying that, some guy came to me, high anxiety. So I just sorted out, I didn't actually do anything with his mind. I just got him super healthy and fit because HRV has a massive correlation with anxiety levels. Because if you're flying in sympathetic all the time, you're going to be flying in that anxiety, anxious, depressive kind of state. If you're smashing your stress hormones response, they have a massive, like your concentration anxiety. Cortisol has massive amounts of receptors in the frontal cortex, so it's going to throw you completely off. So if you bring back a bit more parasympathetic, which is your HRV, which is your aerobic fitness, so we just did that, brought him back down. And then and then we built stuff back up. And then and I built it around not just what was needed for his body, but what was needed for his mind. And but then it's the same case of which with Umar. So Umar came to me, and when we fixed all his injuries, he sent me some videos, and I was like, and he was like, okay, so what's next? I literally said what I said earlier: take your fucking balls out your purse now. It's time to lift some fucking weight. Because he got caught up in this rehab, what I call rehab purgatory, of we're looking to get more and more flexible. Like Umar, like he came to me, pains in his ankles and knee and shoulders and back, and he lost mobility here and there and hip and all that shit. It's basically just lost mobility everywhere and was hurting everywhere. We got him out of pain. We created more mobility. He's now squatting basically ass to grass, and he's saying to me, "Oh yeah, my left hip still feels slightly like it's not internally rotating completely." Dude, you're squatting down to the fucking floor. How much more internal rotation do you need? You know what I mean? It's like, what, you're going to lick your bum
to suck his own dick.
You want to get around there? Exactly. It's like, come on now. And it was just like, now we have, it's a party trick. This mobility people are throwing up is a party trick. You don't need to be able to get into positions which they're telling you fucking should be. If Umar now can squat beautifully a front squat with his feet flat on the floor, with his ass to the grass, with no pain, I don't give a shit about mobility no more. His mobility work is now literally zero, And now his work now is to get fucking strong. And this is the thing about the fitness rebels. I've got the tools in the box for whatever the fuck you want, and I use the right tools at the right time. But the problem with the industry is too many people only have one or two tools. So they try and then push this, as the old cliched saying or the old saying goes, the square thing into the circle. And that's the problem in the industry. You only learn, say, bodybuilding. So that's the only way you only know this. Now, that's not a problem because that's what happens in life. You have to go through the learning stage. And I went through that. But you get to a point where you have to realize, and that's the problem. People are trying to do what I do, but they've only got a year's experience. Unfortunately, to get to do what I do, it's taken me 20 years and about probably, as I said, 40,000 hours, plus God knows how many hours of my own training, as we discussed, plus my own injuries, plus my own fucking mental demons, plus plus now at uni and a shitload of money. And now you're trying to do that. So fitness rebels kind of like comes from my experience of learning what tool to use and when for whatever the client wants to achieve. And it's not about being their friend, although I want you to respect them and I do what needs to get done. But also, like sometimes clients, like when we're changing a program up, you've only been doing it 4 weeks. You've got to keep getting strong at this. And then when we'll change it up and like, yeah, you pay me a lot of money, but you're paying me money to know not so much when to change stuff. It's more to know when not to change stuff. And that's when there's an old analogy, like this probably goes better to fitness rebels is, you get this old this old engineer, I think it's Japanese or Chinese story. He walked around a boat. No one could fix this boat. Like they had every single engineers try to fix this boat, this massive ship. And he walked around for 5 minutes and he got a hammer out, banged on something, fixed it. And when that's like 10 grand. I went, you're only here for 5 minutes. He's like, no, you just paid for the last 40 years experience and no one else will be able to fix it. That's what you're paying for. And I think that's what people get confused with in our industry. They think you're paying you an hourly rate or they're paying you monthly. So therefore every month you need to change something. Honestly, I've had clients before, I've not changed anything for 3 months and they're paying me what they're paying me. But they're happy not to pay me that without me doing anything really, because it's working. So if it's working, I don't need to change shit. And we only change stuff to progress you to where we need to go. But then that only comes with experience, which then, that's the catch-22. And that's the nice situation I'm in now. I've got to that point. I've got the experience. But that's where the fitness rebels is I just believe, and you can achieve anything you want. If you tell me you want to do X, Y, Z, just if you've got the time, and I'll be honest with you, saying you got to put this amount of work in. Like with Umar, I said, I'm not too bothered about some of his conditioning at the moment, because if he says to me, I didn't do my conditioning today, I will go fucking ballistic at him, because I'm allowing it at the moment because there's other situations in his life which demand his attention. And this part of his life isn't as important. And that's where coaching is. It's not just in the gym. You got to guide the program and steer the program in with their life. And sometimes where coaches are, I've been there before, will say, oh, you don't want it enough because you went out with your children at the weekend and had a cake instead of eating fish out of a Tupperware box and ignoring your children and going to the gym. You know what? Sometimes, but hey, Umar knows what I'm talking about. He's been there. I've been there. I don't know if you have, but I've said shit like that in the past. And it ain't fucking right. We have different priorities and different things in life. But if someone says to me that's what they want, I will be like, okay, dude, this is what you got to give up. Are you willing to do that for this period? And then we can bring this back in and then we can do this and this. And it's kind of like the ebb and flow. You got to kind of like sometimes give, sometimes take. And you got to know when to push, when to hold back, when to fit it into their life, when to push the go button, when to go into fifth gear, when to go into first gear. And that's coaching. Coaching isn't giving a program. Coaching is knowing when to go from first to second to third to fourth, then going to fifth. and then to know when to put the brakes on. That's what coaching is
100%.
all about. But that does take experience. For one, I do think coaching is a I do think it's something that you're born with, but I do think it's something which, if you're not, you can increase. But if you're born with that communication kind of coaching kind of skill and you work on that, that's the key. And that's when you get results. And that's what, as Umar was saying, that's what I'm doing with
That's what
him.
I'm seeing now. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing now.
When I know when to push him and know when not to. When he first started it, if he said to me, I haven't done this, I'm like, well, that's why your fucking knees hurting. I was like, he said to me, I can't remember what it was. I'm got it in front of me, but it was like at some point he said, oh yeah, my knee's hurting. It's still hurting. Have you been doing this? Oh no, stop doing it. Why the fuck do you stop doing it? Well, that's why your knees hurting, you dick. And he's like, okay. And the thing is though, I talked to Umar like that because I have a relationship and I know he responds by that, because straight away he went, fair play. Yeah, I don't know why I stopped doing that. Started doing it and started doing what I told him to in the first place, and his knee pain went away. And it's, do you know what I mean? And it's just knowing when to just come in, when to go out, and it's just, and that's what I see. And that's just part of my fitness levels is the whole, it's taking the whole picture, the whole person in. But as I said, it's like I've always said, if you want it, you put the work in, but it'll just, we got to fit it around to your life. And that's where a lot of coaches don't fit in, because they don't know how to fit it in to someone's life, into someone's mentality, to someone's mindset. And that's kind of like the issue with people. But that's why what you're saying, Umar, that's kind of like the coaching with me. That's my whole process. And that's what I see is important for my guys to be a better person. I don't want my guys, the whole point of my rebels, it's not just to make them better in the gym, it's to make them better in life. And even though they might not see that I'm doing that, there'll be little traits and little things that they're doing which is actually making them better in life. I don't life coach people. I don't do I might do stuff without them knowing. But
that's the intuition of you as a coach, isn't it? It's the intuition of you seeing that this person, yes, they may need to work on knee flexion, but that knee flexion is going to take their knee pain away, which is going to make them happier, so that they don't moan about it all 24/7. They're not miserable to be around. You know what I mean? So you're over prioritizing something because you know you preempting other things everywhere else. You know what I mean? So then that's like your 20 years as a coach coming out in a nuanced bit of programming that I'll completely admit, and I have no problem admitting this. Sometimes I'm looking at the program, being like, I don't know why Nick's done that. But then I'll ask you about it, and I'll get a great answer. I'm like, this is why I pay this guy. This is why I know that I trust you. I trust you with my health. You know, what I mean, that's we have such an important role, I think, in society to look after people's health before they have to go to the hospital and get chopped up and put back together again. That someone like yourself takes it so seriously. You've devoted your whole life to this. This is why you're in the position you're in now. It's great.
Well, the reason I think I take it so seriously is because I respect the fact that my clients are opening up to me. Because when I talk to you guys, like, clients do open up and say some really deep shit to you. Yeah. And then you just take their money and write them a shit program and fuck off on holiday. And it's like, dude, you just opened up like some deep shit to you, and you don't respect that. Someone has given their mind and their body and their soul to you to manipulate in any way that you see fit. And then if you don't take that responsibility to fucking heart, then you're an absolute, I'm sorry, but CUNT. And that's why I hate shit trainers, because I do take my job seriously, because for one, especially even now, you giving me money in the time at the moment, and you're opening up to me, telling me your needs, your goals, your issues, your problems, and I don't doubt if people want to talk to me about their problems, cool. And and if you do that, I'm an absolute CUNT if I don't actually take that as a massive sign, or a massive responsibility. And that's the way I see it. And that's why, I do take it passionately. And that's why I'm so passionate about my job and what I do, because I see that as people are putting their life in my hands. People don't come to you, okay, people do come to you to lose weight, but why the fuck are they coming to you to lose weight? To improve their life. There's something going on mentally, depressed, they're unhappy, relationship or whatever it is. They come to you, and it's not. And for you to take that so lightly, like so many people do, I fucking hate. And as soon as you pass that money over and they give you that trust, I respect that 100%. And that's what gets me. And I think that's the whole industry. And when it comes to program design, like you said, when I do my mentorship, everything you put in that program should have a reason for being there. Everything. And as a coach, if your trainee, if your client says, why am I doing this? And you can't give a decent answer, that's not good enough. And if any of you guys are listening, if you've got a PT and your PT can't answer you or give you some bullshit answer, that ain't good enough. And yeah, and that's why when it comes to the program, right, that's what I think so passionate about. I'm so passionate about that. That's why I don't take much time off, because I'm always worried about my clients, because I'm just always like, they put so much faith in me, I've got to come through. And I will lose sleep over if I can't sort a client out. If I'm lost with a client, I will lose sleep over it.
Yeah.
Because I just care that much.
Yeah, and it shows because you definitely go the extra length, and I feel it. I feel the performance benefits, but also the mindset benefits. Like you're going through over there with your studying, with your upskilling, with your liaising with people that around the world, and then I'm getting the backwash of that. And it's a monthly subscription, but that's a tiny price to pay for the knowledge, for the effect it has on my clients, and the fact that I get access to, like the same way I get access to G stepped in with clients in the past, consulted with them, and he's run them through assessments and whatnot. Exactly the same with yourself. You know what I mean? So it's like you said at the start, it's all these coaches that kind of rise to this peak because we introspect, because we self-analyze, because we do all these things. It's great because now we're at this place where we can just share off each other, and as a consequence, it's almost like a fucking hospital. You know what I mean? With these doctors that are all over the world that we can go to with these special cases of clients or whatever. But the common factor is that we all care. We all want the best for we all want to win. You know what I mean? And that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, and that's what I get really fucked off when people have a go at coaches for not being perfect and not being amazing coaches at the beginning of their career. Like, if you've been in the industry 5 years and you've not taken one other course or opened the book since you're like, your crunchy nut cornflake certification, it's then, I'm pissed off. I think you're a dick and you're a crap coach and shouldn't be getting paid. Yeah. But if you're learning and you're not very good because you're not getting it, or they're just, in your opinion, doing things wrong, but they're going on courses and spending money and trying to help their clients, and then you get all these people calling them out, saying this and saying that, they're dicks, because we're all in this to help each other. And just because they don't do what you think is the right way of doing it, and you're calling them out, I just think that's the wrong way the industry as well. Like, again, the social media's got that call out thing of saying don't do it. It's just like, look, we're all in the same ship learning. We're all going down the same path. We all want to help. So stop being a dick. These people are trying to help people in the journey, and people but
anyway, just hanging on, man.
Going for fucking relax.
Coming back.
Huh? Okay, there we're back.
Oh, there you
are. How long do your podcast?
Yeah, we're back. Mate, as long as they want. but
I'm actually going to get some food now. We've been on for 2.5 hours nearly.
Exactly, man. No, it was time. It's coming to the time to wrap it up. Just like, and I think your internet connection is probably saying I'm done. That's what it looks like. Yeah, because your picture's frozen on with your eyes closed as well, so it's telling us a lot about where your internet's at. Awesome, man. Cool. But I just thought last thing is so that's the Fitness Rebels, that's the coaching side. What about Fitness Rebels, the mentorship side? What's going on there?
The mentorship site is really cool at the moment. It basically goes through what I think people should know to get results, to get the clients moving properly through their training and to get results
this is
without
aimed at
pain
coaches.
while getting results. Yeah, it's aimed at coaches. And basically, because I know what's out there, I'm just trying to fill some holes in the industry, some holes, I think people are missing, as we said earlier, like the trees for the forest for the trees. And it's just like, so I built a 16-week program that goes through some mechanics for the first half and then goes into more physiology on the second half. It's just like little things. People, like clients will be like, okay, so like the physiology, why people know blood pressure is bad, but most coaches don't even know why it's bad. What's it actually doing to the body? People don't actually know the whys. They know the what's and maybe what they should be doing, but they don't actually know why. So it's kind of like feeling a lot of gaps in there. And basically, I'm building for January. I'm building a membership site, so it will have a load of video libraries of all the exercises I talk about, book recommendations, hopefully some citations of studies, extra lectures. I'm getting some guests coming in talking about lectures as well on business, on females, and lots of other stuff. So I'm building it. Yeah, it's going to be my baby, and I'm looking forward to. It's going really well at the moment, but the January launch, the next intake in January is going to be fucking awesome.
Quality.
Do you know what, dude? Having done the internship, I'll definitely do it again. It's brilliant, man. It's really, really good. It covers loads. You walk away with a shit ton of notes, shit ton of referral information you can go back to, and like it's fun to have a client sat in front of you because you're like, oh, I've got the code for this problem. You know what I mean? Oh, it's here.
Yeah.
Week 7. That's the shit. Let me plug that in and see what happens. Oh, cool. It fixed it. Wicked. Let's keep playing. You know what I mean? That's it's great. It's literally a cheat code to the game. And yeah, man, it's brilliant. Anyone out there who's thinking about doing the mentorship, I couldn't recommend it highly enough.
It's quality,
Cheers,
man.
bro.
All the truth,
Nick, man, how can people find you?
They can go on Instagram on Nick the Rebel Coach, and then on my website, which is going to be changed. It's going to be a lot of work going into it over the next few months. At www.fitnessrebels.co.uk.
Sweet. Nice, man. Yeah, people check it out, bro. It's you went on tangents. I had like 17 tangents I wanted to go on with you after all those different tangents. Well, I swear, like this conversation was like rising exponentially. But that was quality.
I'm happy to chat to you guys at any time. As I said, I'm stuck it. I'm just like, we're all in the COVID at the moment, not seeing too many people.
Yeah.
I love you guys. So anytime you want to chat, man, I'm down.
Respect,
for it.
man. 100%. That's quality. We had, that was great. And I'm sure, there's so many more things that we can talk about as well because just inspired a lot of conversation there as well. But appreciate it, man. And for everybody who's listening, tuning in, go check out Nick. He's got a lot of valuable insights to offer through his Instagram profile as well. I'm just like, every time something comes up, I'm like, want to comment, like. So it's some good shit there. You got the podcast as well, the Fitness Rebel Radio podcast.
Oh shit, yeah, so, forgot about that as well.
Just got so much good shit going.
Do you know what? I'm really bad at plugging myself. That is what set my wife hates me for it. I'm really bad at it. But,
do you want me to do it for you? Shall I do that for you?
I'll do that for you, man. Don't worry about it.
Podcast actually hit 5,000. Yes, 5,000 downloads yesterday. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Boy.
I want 10,000 before my 40th birthday. So I've got
Just make it happen,
3
people.
months. 3 months to get to 10,000, and got some big guests lined up. So hopefully get some, the guests getting better, and I just love it. I love just chatting to these guys. I've got some, so that's Fitness Rebels Radio. It's on literally everything. iTunes, Spotify, and all the little ones. I know I've signed up to lots of them. They're listed down like that.
They're all there.
But basically,
exactly.
iTunes and Spotify, they're there. You'll find me.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
and like,
so
your own favorite podcast player as well. It's quality. Yeah, man. I've listened to I think almost all the episodes as well. So there's a lot of good guests on there, a lot of good people to pay attention to. Whether you're a coach or whether you're an individual as well.
Yeah, some of the podcasts get a bit geeky. Some are just really into we get into conversations about life or mindset, business. They just cover
coffee.
Everyone you can coffee. Actually, coffee.
That's something we should talk about.
Yeah, no problems, man. Literally, there's something there for everyone. And to be honest with you, like today, the mindset stuff you can put into training stuff you can put into life. It all blends into one.
100%.
So yeah, check it out.
Definitely, man.
Wicked.
That's been great. So yeah,
Thank you
people,
much,
hope
Tim.
you enjoyed the conversation, and just give us a like, give us subscribe to the show, download the episode, share it with people. There's lots of good information here, and tell us what you think. Follow us on Instagram at Evolve Achieve Thrive, and anything that you enjoy, anywhere you're going to share it, just tag us in it as well. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Wicked. Thanks, Nick.
Awesome, guys.
Cool.
No
Nice
problem.
one,
Thanks
brother.
for having me. Cheers.
Nick, stay there for a second. I'm just going to end the broadcast. You stay there.
That's cool.